That's better, yeah. Thank you. I'll do the welcome. I'll do the welcome. You've got the preview written, so I'll throw to you for that. I'll go with this for a minute and then I'll go back for it. Hello and welcome to Blacktown International Sportspark, magnificent sporting facility in the west of Sydney for this NEAFL Round 18 clash. It's a big one, massive finals implications coming up in this one. The Sydney University side up against the Canberra Demons. They're both effectively fighting for the same spot, which means only one can go through to the NEAFL top six. My name is Chris Coleman, and alongside me for this one, Eddie Williams. Eddie, great to have you here in Sydney this afternoon.
Chris, good to be here in Sydney, having made the trip up from Canberra this morning, and we're looking forward to this one, 6th v 7th, the students versus the Demons. Sydney Uni coming off a bit of an upset win over Aspley last week, a 7-point victory. Canberra went down to Southport by just 9 points, so both sides come into this match in decent form. We know how evenly matched they are, so much so that last time they met, they played out a draw at Phillip Oval back in round 14, but Canberra had actually won the previous 3 encounters between these two sides. The students' last win over the Canberra Demons was at this ground almost exactly a year to go. And Chris, it's a day of milestones here at Blacktown today, 2 on each side and at various stages of their careers. We'll start with the man on debut, Sam Gilfetter, debutant for Sydney Uni today. This is a great story because he only started playing Aussie rules in 2017.
Does that mean there's hope for me yet?
When did you start playing?
Well, I started playing a long time ago. Never achieved any high level. Should I go back and have another crack?
Well, he started in Division 5 with Sydney Uni, and last year he was AFL Sydney's rising star, and this year in round 18 he becomes Sydney Uni's 14th NEAFL debutant of the season. At the other end of his career for the Sydney Uni side, Monty Crockmore, the 26-year-old, today plays his 200th game for the club at all levels, and a day of milestones for the Canberra Demons as well, with 24-year-old Ben House playing his 100th NEAFL game after debuting with the Giants initially, and 21-year-old Don Roberts plays game number 50 in the NEAFL, his first game since April. He debuted with Eastlake back in 2015, another former Giants Academy player. So we've got a debutant, we've got a 50-gamer, we've got a 100-gamer, and we've got a 200-gamer. It's all happening at Blacktown today.
I think that covers the whole gamut, doesn't it?
And we've got the NEAFL Games record holder in Aaron Bruce, captaining the Canberra Demons as well. So players at varying stages of their NEAFL careers.
Now, we talked about how this game will have massive finals implications. It is 6th versus 7th. As you mentioned, Eddie, the last time these sides met, it was a draw. There's nothing between them on the ladder as well. The Sydney University side on 26 competition points, the Canberra Demons on 26 competition points. Percentage divides them. It's just a touch over 2 percentage points. 96.48 for Sydney Uni, 94.33 for the Canberra Demons. Canberra, one of the most attacking sides in the competition. They have the second best points scored. Which is all well and good. The problem is that they've given away far too many points as well. In fact, they have the 3rd worst defensive record in the league. So it's often said defence wins premierships. Canberra need to get the defence sorted. We saw a bit of it against the NT Thunder a couple of weeks ago. If they can keep that up, they are positioned to make a run through the NEAFL final series. But gee, it'll be a tough task, and they've got to overcome this Sydney University side who know all about finals footy.
Yeah, we'll expect to see hopefully a high-scoring clash here today. Good conditions here in Blacktown. Cal Evans back in the side for the Canberra Demons, the rising star nominee, and keep an eye on Josh Stern for Sydney Uni, coming off a 6-goal performance with the students last week in that victory over Aspley. One of the reasons Canberra is so good when it comes to the offensive side of things is their scores from turnovers. They're ranked 2nd in the NEAFL behind only the Brisbane Lions. They average 52 points per game from turnovers, so Sydney Uni needs to be careful not to cough the ball up to the Demons in attack or in the middle of the ground, because they will hurt you.
Modern footy, of course, Eddie, we hear a lot of people who watch footy from back in the 60s and 70s, and they lament the days of the 100-goal full forward being gone. And I've got to say I'm a little bit sad about that as well, but modern footy, where you have a phalanx of goal scorers, and that's what the Canberra Demons have set up with. And how many games have we called for them where we've seen 7, 8, 9, 10 goal scorers making it on the list? They spread it across the field. They're very hard to stop for that very reason. They have many options to get to goal, and we'll see which way they choose to execute today in this big game. 6th versus 7th in the NEAFL. Great to have your company wherever you might be. Thanks for joining us as we get just about set. While we've got one moment, let's talk about the umpires. With the ball there in the middle of the ground is umpire number 9. That's Sam Nipris. He's joined by Matt Bajan in 2 and Dean Garraway in 18. We'll tell you who the other officials are a wee bit later on. But to get things underway on this Saturday afternoon at Blacktown, here's Eddie Williams.
Josh Maynard and Sam Tagliabue to go up in ruck. The Demons going to the right of your screen in this opening quarter. Maynard won the hit out. It'll come down towards Connor Owen Orban. He's tackled. The umpire will wait and come in and ball it up. There was Bailey Stewart there helping to lay that tackle on Connor Owen Orban. So we get a restart in the middle of the ground. It's thrown up. Tagliabue and Maynard again. It's knocked down to the back. It came out towards Stewart. He was there with Mitch Maguire. The umpire will come in and ball it up again, just as Maguire thought he might have been able to break free from that contest. So Sydney Uni kicking to the left in this opening quarter as it's thrown up yet again. Stewart lays another tackle, a good start for him in the middle of the ground, and we will get yet another restart. So it's tight early, neither side wanting to give an inch today. We know how tight things are on the NEAFL ladder. Maynard winning the hit out that time. Maguire managed to get the hand pass free to Harper. Harper dished it off to Richardson, who goes inside 50. No mark for Harry Carr. He couldn't quite juggle it. In came Tom Fall. Managed to feed the hand pass out towards Pollock, but they've turned it over, and now a chance for Sydney Uni to rebound.
They take it away outside the 50. A ball under hot dispute at the moment, but it comes back once again for Canberra. There's plenty of Demons numbers at the ball. Kick is smothered on the far side of the ground and still in hot dispute. Wait to see who can come up with it. For Canberra, it's Owen Orban. He's been prolific for this club this season. Picked up a Rising Star nomination early, but the ball goes into the bottom of the pack, and the umpire, I think he's going to come in and ball it up. It is Sam Nipris who's taking care of it on centre wing, far side of the ground.
I think Sam Nipris is the leading possession winner at this stage.
Pretty much. He's had more of the ball than just about anyone else. Ball goes up and it's won there by Tagliabue. Goes short by foot, left foot into the middle of the ground, but it's been intercepted there for Canberra by Sam Martin. Martin goes for a short ball on the outside of the ground. Gets it onto a teammate in Owen Orban, so he's had a couple of decent possessions. Plenty of Canberra options now. They go inside the forward 50. Who's waiting underneath it? Good fly there. It might have been Swan who was flying. Couldn't get a handle on it. Ball goes free. Rebounds now through Sydney Uni. But it's only kicked about 10 metres before it goes out of bounds on the full. Canberra to get it back. Sydney have hardly had a possession so far, Eddie.
So the footy's just outside 50 for Canberra. I think we'll end up with a boundary throw in here, Chris, as the ball had either come off hands or had bounced on its way out of the ground. So to be thrown in just outside the 50-metre arc for the Canberra Demons. Maynard and Tagliabue set themselves yet again as the ball comes back into play. A bit of a shallow throw-in that neither ruckman could really get to in the end. It will end up the Canberra Demons' way as Hardy goes with the kick inside 50. It's knocked down. The hand pass comes out to Harper, who snaps towards goal, but going back with the flight there is Ned Reinhard for the students, and they'll be able to use this broadcast side of the ground. Reinhard goes to Stern, who had 6 goals last week in that win over Southport. Bit of a fumble there by Michael Carroll in defence. That allows the Demons in, but Stern comes in to try and tidy up. Then the ball's back in the contest. It's not going to come out. Umpire waits, he calls play on. Pollock's in that pack. We will get a ball up eventually, just inside 50 for the Canberra Demons. So most of this match being played in the Demons' forward half of the ground, but difficult to get too many clear disposals at this stage. Maynard won the hit out, but Tagliabue with the clearance. A kick bounced over Monty Crockmall in his 200th club game. It came to the NEAFL Games record holder in Bruce, who gave it now to Baker via House. Baker's kick goes inside 50 for Canberra. It just cleared the pack. Tagliabue and Maynard couldn't get there. And we'll get another stoppage inside 50 for the Demons.
Throw in to take place right on that 50-metre arc. Still scoreless here, 3.5 minutes in. And as we said, these sides both fighting for the same spot, likely in the final, so much on the line here today. Tap down really goes Tagliabue's way. Doesn't get too much on it. Once again, Canberra at the fall of the ball. It's Mitch Maguire who grabs it. He's tackled, though. Ball is held to him, and the umpire will come in for yet another ball up here. So comes in for the quick one. We'll give that one to Tagliabue as well. Taken by Stewart for the students, but it's only again cut off by Canberra. Hand pass goes inside and it finds Richardson. Richardson goes short to a teammate who pops it over the head. Pollock couldn't get a control of it, and now the ball's kicked into some open space. Maybe we'll get some footy break out here. Running onto it, that might be Highmore for Canberra, but he can't control it, and once again it's the Sydney Uni side taking the ball forward. That'll be Foster. Foster turns around, taps the ball to the advantage of a teammate, but again it rebounds back to Canberra, only momentarily as a pack forms over the top, and another ball up to take place. This time it'll be umpire Matt Bagent to do his thing right on the corner of the centre square. Boundary umpires today, by the way, Ben Deuce, Fari Ozturk and Jacob Deville. Ball back in play, still in the centre square, only just, not making any further progression, so we'll get another toss-up in a moment. Goal umpires today, Nick Ford and Dale Purin. Ball topped up, tossed up once again, and Sydney might just get inside their forward 50. They do, but the ball only goes as far as, I reckon that might be Highmore who's come through, and he's taken the mark just inside the defensive 50. Centre half back for Canberra. They'll swing it around onto the far side of the ground now. Plenty of options. That's Lucas Moline. So he puts the ball again just outside the forward 50 for Canberra. There we go, the quick 1-2. Now turning around is Harry Carr. Dangerous in space. Decides this time, though, to give it off to a teammate whose kick is smothered. So the Demons, they've lost the pill for a moment, chasing it through there. That was Richardson. Got a slap down on it. Couldn't control it, but there's plenty of other players to take care of it. Comes back to Connor Owen Orban. Puts the ball into the direction of Paik, who's down in full forward. Couldn't take the mark, but underneath it is Pollock. Turns around onto his right, but his kick is cut off. And once again, this Sydney Uni defence holds stout. That time, it was Carroll who was in over the top, but he's been unable to control it. Ball goes to ground. Players fall over the top of it, and yet another ball up. What an entertaining game, despite the lack of scoring, Eddie. It's fast, it's ferocious.
The Sydney Uni defence just hanging on here. Desperate stuff. An excellent smother there off Mitch Hardy's boot to prevent what might have been a goal. And now perhaps things could open up for Sydney University as the hand pass comes out there to Will Sirakowski. He gave it off there to Morrison. Morrison kicks inside 50, and Tristan Davies takes the mark. Will he go back and have a shot? Is he going to pop it up to the square? He just goes with a mid-distance kick that was in the end to no one in particular. That opens things up a little for the Canberra Demons defence. Moline gets into lay a tackle. The umpire will come in and ball it up inside 50 for Sydney University. A rare inside 50 entry for them in this opening quarter. We've gone around 6.5 minutes. It's still 0-0-0 apace as Maynard gets ready to do the ruck. He'll be up this time against Tom Banuelos for Sydney Uni. Maynard probably got a hand on that one. Then Banuelos picks up the footy. He snaps it towards the goal. Baker gets back. He gives the hand pass off. The Demons might try and rush this one through, or perhaps get it out of play. They've done well to work it away from the mouth of goal. It came there to Gilfetter, the debutant for Sydney Uni, and will get a ball up just inside the field of play, inside 50 for the students. I
doubt Sam Gilfetter will remember much about his first touch of the ball at NEAFL level as he was tackled, kept the ball in play, I suppose, but that was about it. And the umpire to toss it up just a metre in from the boundary line, deep in the forward pocket for the Sydney side. Canberra get the best of the ruck contest, but a clearing kick in front of Tom Fall, who can't get there in time. The ball goes out over the boundary line, and it'll be another throw-in to take place here. 7.5 minutes gone. No score here. That's a fascinating matchup in prospect there, by the way. Sam Barkley up against Tom Fall. We'll keep an eye on that one during the course of the day. They're wearing each other like a glove at the moment. Fall's just stretching away at the moment now as the ball tossed up into the air. Tapped down once again, won by Maynard, but he's tapped it in the Sydney Uni direction. Stewart has it, and his kick is, I think we can put that one in the ordinary category, Eddie. It's gone out of bounds, and this one should be a free kick. It is a free kick to return the ball to play for the Canberra Demons.
Out on quite a lush hill where Cal Evans, who always seems to get the job of jumping the fence to get the footy, he's off there. The rest of the ground just looking not quite as lush as that hill to the left of your screen. So the ball is back inside the field of play. It will be a free kick to Cal Evans, and he's earned it because he jumped the fence to get the footy. So it's his free. Evans goes down the line. The kick is in the Alex Paik direction. He couldn't take the mark. Hardy with a good tackle, and he followed up well there, Mitch Hardy, but he was taken over the boundary line by Tim Barton, and we'll get a throw in just in front of our broadcast position, just around from the Sydney University interchange bench. Paik will do the ruck against Banuelos this time as Maynard and Tagliabue have a bit of a rest. The ball is thrown back in. Paik tried to get in front. He won the hit out down. It was towards Mitch Maguire, but just couldn't quite get to him in the end. It comes out to Bartholomew's, but he couldn't keep hold of the footy. And Evans gave it to Owen Orban, who gives it to Vardaniga. Vardaniga off to Martin. He's wrapped up by Josh Stern. How will the umpire call this one? He says no prior opportunity. And we'll get a ball up right on half forward for Sydney University.
Sam Martin lucky.
Kate Klemke thinking, where was that umpire decision in the draw a few weeks back?
Exactly. Took a couple of steps, did Martin, but the ball goes up, tapped down again into the Sydney forward 50 for just a moment off the hands of Banuelos, but now under contest as Riley Budd comes through. Gets a little bit of a soccering kick clear. Goes only as far as Reinhardt, though. Reinhardt short hand pass back into the pack, enabling Budd to try and tap it to advantage. He does. Gives it to Powell. Powell then finds Evans with the shorter hair than he had at the start of the season. Looking into the forward line. There's no one inside the forward 50. Harper was there. He got held just outside the 50. I reckon he'll be too far out to score, but he'll have the free kick, and he'll kick from about 55 if he does decide to have a shot. He's got a player calling for it in short, but instead he goes in towards the goal square. Tom Fall is there. He wrestles one man out of the way. Can't get the second one. Ball goes to him. He goes for the fresh air swing. It's on the ground. It's under hot dispute here. And Sydney do well as it's Goulden who takes it away from the goal square, turning it around, and they get outside the 50 now with Morrison. Morrison sends the ball. Well, he waits to send the ball back in towards the square. Instead it goes back. It's Barkley over there, finding it hard to get a handle on the ball. Turns it back. Gives it back to Goulden now. Goulden turns around. They're taking their time, ensuring possession here. They've got plenty of numbers of the ball. Have the students, and in short this will be Barkley. He gets it now inside his defensive 50, puts it outside the 50, goes to Bartholomew, who's tackled, slung, gets the ball back into the field of play, and it's been sharked there by Carr. Carr, however, loses control on the skiddy surface and goes out over the boundary line for another throw in. We went for a walk down there on the ground before the game, Eddie. It's very hard, so it's going to be very hard. It's a really firm ground today. Players will be slipping a little bit because their studs aren't going to get a lot of grip on the very short grass and the very hard dirt.
Sydney Uni having a lot of trouble moving the ball out of defence early in this match. Let's see if they can have another crack here. They've worked the ball past halfway to a pretty open forward line. If Guildford, the debutant, can run onto it. He had Aaron Bruce. There you have a man in his first game and the most experienced man in the NEAFL going head to head, and it's Aaron Bruce who's over the ball. He's tackled. And the umpire will come in and throw it up yet again inside the off-centre circle. One of 3 centre circles painted on this ground. We are using the most central of them today. Last time we called footy Chris at Manuka, they were using a centre circle which was not in the centre, which made things a little confusing for everyone. Banuelos won the hit out. It probably favoured Alex Smout, who couldn't handle it. And now Sydney Uni should be able to get a clearance. They work the ball towards half forward. Tom Highmore gets a hand, and he follows up with a strong tackle there, Tom Highmore. Umpire calls play on. The ball spills out Canberra's way. It'll end up with Mitch Maguire. He dishes the hand pass off to Owen Orban. Owen Orban gets around one. He spots Reece Pollock wide. Pollock takes the mark overhead. Plays on immediately by hand to Mitch Hardy, who's just corralled for a moment. He goes with a kick inside 50. It's meant for Harry Carr. It might come off the back to Harry Carr. He keeps it in play. He shrugs the tackle. He was out of bounds.
Optimism personified there from Harry Carr, wasn't it?
It was a good passage of play there by the Canberra Demons. Maybe just tried to bite off a little bit too much on that angle, and Harry Carr couldn't quite keep the ball in play. It'll be thrown in. So we've seen a number of stoppages in dangerous positions for the Canberra Demons. The Sydney Uni defence doing well to hold on early in this match as the ball landed in the lap of Alex Paik. He couldn't really get a kick away. Went in again and hand passed it out. The ball's in dispute. Alex Smout throws his body in. It comes to Cal Evans. Evans against the boundary line. His kick is smothered, and we'll get yet another boundary throw in inside 50 for Canberra.
12 minutes and 28 seconds elapsed and still no score. This is fascinating footy here. This is absolutely fascinating. You don't need 100 points apiece for a game to be interesting. Canberra have had the bulk of the inside 50s. I make it 6-4, so to the champion data stats, and this one is still inside the Canberra 50 as Paik gets the tap down, but once again it's cleared by Sydney University. Chasing onto it was Crockmall. He gets a secondary attempt at it, loses control of it. It falls into the path of Baker, who runs, takes a snap and misses completely out on the full. And now we go to 13 minutes with no score. Sydney to bring it back in. And they've got Stevenson in short. Also in short is Hiscox, and he takes it up the middle of the ground, only about 25 out from his own goal. A couple of players around on the grandstand wing calling for it, but instead they go the other side. Stewart had it for just a moment. They're going further around to Goulden. He sets and stops. There's no real free flow about this Sydney Uni side at the moment, and once again it's been cut off. They've done well though to recover there, have Sydney. I think it was Hiscox who got the regather. Now the ball goes around onto Stevenson. Stevenson with plenty of teammates in near vicinity. Ball off the hands of the pack, and surprise, surprise, it's Canberra once again. I think it was Bud. Goes to Smout. Smout in space. Finds a man in short. That would be, is that Roberts who's come on? It is. Roberts gives the ball around. He finds Hardy. This is good stuff from the Demons. Now over to Mitch Maguire. Maguire goes left, goes right, goes left again. Instead of taking a shot, goes to the hot spot, comes off hands, falls to Pollock. And I think we've actually got a score. We do have a score. It may only be a point, but it's the first point. And it goes to the Canberra Demons at 14 minutes and 3 seconds. Canberra 1 point. Sydney yet to score.
Perhaps just rushed that forward entry a little there, the Canberra Demons. Maguire perhaps could have backed himself for the set shot. A bit fortunate that the ball spilt through to Reece Pollock, who also probably had more time than he thought. He just sprayed that shot a little. And the kick in is a long one. It's a good one. It's marked there by Tim Barton for Sydney Uni, and perhaps things will open up a little. A left foot kick to a pretty open forward line. It'll sit up okay there, and the hand pass comes off to Josh Stern. Stern is tackled. He gives a hand pass off. Good defence here by the Canberra Demons. It'll be taken by Connor Owen Auburn, who gives the hand pass there to, might have been Lucas Moline. It was. He couldn't hold it. It comes back to Stern. Great smother by Moline, who goes in hard again. Gets the hand pass, but missed the target. It comes back to Stern. Stern with a high ball that'll be marked on the chest, and it'll be Tristan Davies to go back and have a shot on goal.
Well, Davies setting himself for the shot here, and he'll take plenty of time. Stern doing plenty in the lead-up.
I think we're getting a 50-metre penalty here.
Well, I'm not quite sure what the 50 was for. I was looking at Davies going back for his setup. But
yes.
In the end, I don't think it's going to make too much difference. It's only going to take him about 5 metres closer, and he kicks from the top of the square.
And Tristan Davies has the opening goal of the match after 15 minutes. It's Sydney Uni 1 straight 6. The Canberra Demons 1 behind. The Students have a 5-point lead, and they've just been able to go into a more open forward line, I think, Sydney Uni, compared to the Canberra side. And
well, that's because the ball's been down the other end.
in Canberra's half of the ground so long that obviously the Sydney Uni defenders are all there, and that does open things up. If you can slingshot the ball out of defence, your forward line is a bit more open, and that created the opportunity for Tristan Davies. We were both watching to check it was Tristan Davies and didn't see what the 50-metre penalty was for.
It wasn't a Pagan's paddock set up down the other end. It was almost a Sydney University suburb down there. There was nobody in the forward half of the ground for Sydney Uni as that ball was being cleared from the other end of the ground.
So if we come back here in a couple of years, Chris, they'll have developed that suburb and there'll be apartments and all sorts of
quite possibly. All these beautiful gum trees around the back, they'll be gone. There'll be a Sydney suburban landscape. Ball back in the middle. Tap down goes towards Smout. He can't control it. Still in the middle of the ground. Maynard picks it up, going for a couple of attempted hand passes. Can't do anything with it. And the ball will come back once again to the umpire. It wasn't actually Maynard, it was a Swan who was in there on the rock. That's a little bit of a change as we see the ball bouncing around. Who can get there? A little bit of a clearing kick from Harper, but it gets smothered. Second attempt may have been Mitch Maguire, who puts the ball in towards centre half forward. Underneath it was Pake, couldn't take the grab. The ball still bouncing around at centre half forward for the Canberra Demons, but there's too many players in there. Too many players, not enough space and not enough football. And taking it was Pollock before the umpire says, I'll have it back for yet another ball up. This one right on the edge of the square. Centre half forward for Canberra, centre half back for Sydney. Free kick found, or are we just going to have another attempt to toss it up? No, it's a free kick and it is going Canberra's way. So ruck infringement. Now this will be interesting. Maynard, he's a big man. He can put the towering kick in, and he goes for the towering kick. It'll fall in short at the top of the square. Bounces once, bounces twice, and then it's been stabbed at. And that'll be a goal to Canberra, is it? Or touched off the hands? Touched off the hands. Harry Carr's shot from the swinging leg goes through for a point. 6 points to 2. Sydney leading the Demons.
I think it was on its way through that soccer by Harry Carr. It might have just been touched through on the line. So he's an exciting player in the forward line for the Demons, just not quite able to get that one over the line there, Harry Carr. As Sydney Uni worked the ball back towards the centre wing position. Good smother, though, by Aaron Bruce. He recovers well, paddles it forward to Swan, who gives it off to Powell. Powell back to Pollock. Pollock kicks inside 50. Good play there by Veal for Sydney Uni, but it's stolen by Harry Carr, who has another shot on goal. And this time he misses to the right. So they're peppering here, the Demons. They're 3 behinds. Sydney Uni 1 straight 6.
3 points the difference, but it's been Canberra with most of the attack, and the inside 50s reflect that now. Canberra have had 10. Sydney Uni have had 5, but Canberra returning just 3 behinds from their 10 inside 50s. They need to improve their scoring efficiency. Ball right into the middle of the ground here, and getting onto it is Hiscox off the short hand pass. His kick is then smothered, so Canberra, they'll bring it away again as Budd looks to regather. Instead, it's been taken there by Maguire, I think it was, who dropped into the back line. Another couple of short passes, and they go round over to the far side of the ground. Is that Moline who's gone up forward? I think it might be. So Canberra ringing some changes, but again, it's Sydney who bring the ball back, but they only get it up to about the halfway line. Contest flying for it and taking the good grab over there. Can't pick who it was on the far reaches of the ground. Was it Stern? If it was, he's been very, very busy today. But now inside the forward 50, and again, there is nobody home for the Sydney Uni side. And Canberra, well, they could raffle it off. They've got 3 or 4 players here. The ball comes down to Moline. He sends it around. Short pass taken by Powell. Powell takes his time to get set. Did have House inboard. Elected not to go there. Instead goes up the line. Dangerous play. Good little spoil on Swan for the Sydney University side by one of the Sirakowski boys. Ball sent into attack for them, and Gilfetter, the debutant, dives on it and then gets dived upon himself. Umpire says no chance to get rid of it, and it'll be another ball up. This to take place about 60 out from the Sydney University goal.
Well, he grew up playing rugby, Sam Gilfetter, and he's found himself in a couple of rugby-like positions today where he's been over the ball and been immediately tackled. Tagliabue with the hit out there. Chasing after it is Cal Evans. Evans does well to stand up, get the hand pass out to Baker. Baker just throws it on the boot, kicks it towards Harry Carr, who went with one hand, couldn't drag it in. Harper flicks it out to Swan. Swan has one bounce, gives it off to the running Harry Carr. It sits up in front of him. Carr gathers. Carr kicks the goal. The Demons are on the board. They now lead by 3 points. 1-3-9. The Canberra Demons, 1 straight 6. Sydney Uni as we tick into time on in the opening quarter.
It's been a long time coming, and they made hard work out of it, this Canberra side. But really, when you think about it, today's game, with so much on the line, you wouldn't expect anything less. It's going to be a hard-fought one right through to the final finish, to the final siren. And I think today it's not going to be a high-scoring game. Defence certainly will be the way for these sides to go. Looking forward to this, but a good goal for Harry Carr.
And Harry Carr coming off the ground, replaced by Tom Fall. He's been the man in this quarter, Harry Carr. One shot missed to the right, one fresh air shot touched on the line, and third time lucky Harry Carr getting the Demons' opening goal.
Ball back in the middle of the ground. And it's Maynard to go up against Tagliabue, the 2 big men. He really is a big man, Sam Tagliabue, isn't he? Look at the size of him.
Tom Fall starting in the centre square at this stoppage as well.
It's interesting because Fall ran on, went down to full forward, and then he's come up to the centre square, and he's nowhere near the ball as it's kicked into attack by Sydney once again. Flying is Davies, can't get a handle on it. Ball goes to ground. Clearing hand pass, not terribly far from Budd. Canberra, they've still got it just outside the 50. Baker comes in, tries his best to get the ball away. Scrappy stuff at the moment. 5 or 6 players over the ball at most times. Umpire will come in and repossess the ball. In fact, we've got 2 umpires charging in for it this time. I think it'll be Sam Nipris will get there. It is. They swap positions now. And Nipris to ball it up just inside the square. Still on the attacking side of the ground for the Sydney University side. Tagliabue, Maynard. Tagliabue just clutches it to his belly. Then his kick goes maybe 3 metres if lucky. Ball clean bowls a few of them as it comes through. Picked up off the turf there by Kel Evans. Evans then short ball to Powell. Powell puts a little grubber in it. Sits up nicely for Pollock. Pollock gives it off and finds Maguire. Maguire looking up forward, sees Swan there. Swan can't get there. Gets the tackle on his opposing player, but it's gone free to Goulden for the University side. Couple of players through very quickly, and it winds up with Hiscox. Hiscox looks up forward. Who's there? Well, there's nobody there. There's no one inside the forward 50 for Sydney University at all, which enables Lucas Moline to get it. He picks it. It goes for a bounce, goes for a couple of very ordinary bounces, manages to just salvage it somehow, then loses possession of the ball. A few people in the crowd call for ball. Moline, is it again? No, it's gone back to Swan, who's taken it. Swan sends the ball into the forward 50. Pake was one of the players down there. Hardy's another one, and also waiting for it was Harper, but it comes away for Sydney once again. 3-1 in favour of Canberra, and it wound up with Sydney as the ball sent up the ground. Crockmore had it, tapped it to his own advantage, couldn't do anything with it, and now for Canberra, they've got a chance here. Oh, absolutely smashed in the tackle was Maguire, just got the kick away. Short passes, short hand passes, that one was from Veal, turns around, comes back down towards the centre wing position, right in front of us here, and run over the boundary line by Ben House, and there's a bit of push and shove going on down here. There's plenty plenty of feeling in this game, Eddie.
A lot of smothers earlier. They're a very high-pressure match we're seeing so far. We've gone nearly 23 minutes. It's the Canberra Demons by 3 points. Only one goal each in this opening quarter as the ball's thrown back into play. Maynard probably knocked that one down. Maguire chases after it. Gathers. Hand passes back to Guy Richardson. Richardson kicks inside 50. It's a high ball. Swan was at the back. He couldn't take the mark. It'll come off to Robertson. And now Sydney Uni should be able to get the ball out of defence. A low kick that bounces in front of Will Sirakowski. He gave the hand pass back, but we see yet another smother. The ball ends up with Maguire. There's a man on his own in the goal square, and Jordan Harper rams home Canberra's second goal.
They don't get much easier than that. Jordan Harper, he was able to sit there and he could have stood there for another 5 seconds before he drilled it, so he had plenty of time to make sure it went through the big sticks. And Harper gets the second for the Demons for today.
They had a problem earlier in the season, Canberra, where they were dominating the inside 50s in most matches. I remember losses to Southport and the Giants early in the season where they had a large number of inside 50s compared to their opponents, but just couldn't do anything with it. We thought that was a problem for them early today. They'll be pleased that in the past few minutes they've been able to go in with some efficiency and create some fairly straightforward shots at goal. Jordan Harper and Harry Carr, the two goal kickers so far for Canberra.
Conversely, Sydney Uni not exactly doing a lot with their inside 50s. They've had 7. They've had just the one scoring shot. Yes, it was a goal to Tristan Davies, but Canberra 15. Make that 16 inside 50s as the champion data stats update for 5 scoring shots and 1 out on the full. As Sydney get the best of it from the centre square, but charging out.
Highmore.
It was Highmore, and he's got the mark at centre half back for the Demons, calling for a few options. Smout would be the best of them. Instead, he ignores that, goes longer. Kel Evans waits and gets set. Hardy in underneath it, can't control it, and sees it out over the boundary line just in front of the Canberra interchange gates. This will be great. We'll get a good view of the ruck contest here on the Ball In on Bar TV on your Saturday afternoon. Let's see how we go. The ruckmen both a considerable distance back as they come charging in. Was the probably just a little bit of a touch from Tagliabue that went into the path of Swan. Swan manages to pop it out the back somehow. Smout was the target. Instead, it's Tagliabue having a secondary go at it. He goes to ground. He's been wrapped up by Smout. Over the top, there's Hardy for Canberra. And Veal for Sydney Uni. Ball up now. True centre wing position. Grandstand side of Blacktown Sportspark.
Oh, Josh Maynard with the hit out of the year. He climbed up high, knocked it down. Swan gets a clearing kick that'll bounce through to Kel Evans. He gathers. He just tumbles it towards half forward. Roberts couldn't hold on to the mark. A good spoil there by Adam Gould. And it comes back to Roberts, who's tackled. Manages to knock the ball clear. It's picked up by Mitch Hardy, who's been good in this opening quarter. He's looking for an option. Wheels onto the right foot. Kicks it in the direction of Harry Carr, who lets it bounce. Tries to knock it to his own advantage. Gathers, rams it forward, hands it to Alex Pake. Alex Pake dribbles through one of the goals of the year. The Demons have got 3. They've all been from close range. That was from almost an impossible angle. And Canberra now leads by 15 points, and they're starting to put their dominance, which we've seen in field position, into dominance on the scoreboard.
Was that Hardy with the kick from up here? Hardy could not possibly have known where Harry Carr was unless he did it by echo sounding, because he was looking the wrong way. He's kicked it up over his head. Carr has had to go into a fierce contest for the ball. I don't think Pake was the intended target or the intended best option, but turned out to be the only option, and he's threaded the eye of the needle. Magic stuff from the Demons. They lead by 15.
Harry Carr just rammed his way through there. He wasn't going to let anyone get in his way, worked his way through, knocked the ball onto Alex Pake, and we've seen Alex Pake kick some terrific set shot goals from angles, particularly in the pocket at Phillip Oval. That was a great goal from the boundary line, as we see the Canberra Demons ruckman Josh Maynard walking to the interchange bench and looking pretty unsteady, heavily favouring one leg. We'll keep an eye on that. That could hurt the Demons as this game goes on. Alex Pake having to go into the ruck here against Tom Banwelos, and we'll see the Sydney Uni side getting the centre clearance. They go inside 50. The ball bounced on its way through there to Harry Morrison, who wheels onto the right boot, pops it up into the pocket. Not the best kick. Didn't really favour Davies. There were 3 Canberra Demons players there. They should be able to mop up. They do eventually as the ball came out to Highmore. His kick down the line is a good one. It's marked just inside the field of play there by Guy Richardson, who pokes it forward. He's turned it over, though. So now another opportunity for the Demons as Adam Goulden for the Students, sends the Students inside 50. The kick was not a great one. It bounces through for a behind. That's Sydney Uni's second score of the afternoon. They're 1-1-7. They trail by 14 points.
I'm keeping an eye on Maynard on the interchange bench for Canberra, and they are treating his right leg, right ankle it seems to be. Canberra called to play on, and they do so now. Waiting for it will be Owen Orban. He's got in space right on the 50 at the defensive end of the ground. Has Paik around the wing. Also Baker is a possibility. Goes long. Paik will be one option. Hardy will be another. Fall will be the third. None of them wind up with it. Might have been Pollock who got the best of it. Popped it off. Found Baker. Baker's kick flies and goes out of bounds on the full. So it'll be a free to Reinhardt to bring it back into play for the Sydney University side. He does so. It's a shocker. Straight to Mitch Hardy. Hardy can put it to Carr. Oh, Carr doesn't need much more of a help to score from this. And then what's he done? He's hand passed it. Probably should have just kept running it himself. Instead, it's a rebound, and Sydney University can thank their lucky stars that they're still 14 points down, not 20. That's silly play from Carr.
He had Andrew Swan running on, and that was what he was trying to do the team thing. Probably needed to go back and kick that one himself, Harry Carr. As we get a boundary throw in, still in a dangerous position for the Canberra Demons, with Paik going up in ruck against Banuelos. Paik just too strong there, knocked the ball down, but it's picked up there by Bailey Stewart. He's dispossessed. It's spilt to Baker. Baker goes inside 50. It'll set up for Harry Carr again. He just was worked under the ball that time, but it'll spill to Reece Pollock. He might have been taken in a tackle, which the umpire said was legal. It comes out to Tom Fall, who gives it to Hardy. Hardy sees Harper. Harper goes with the round the corner banana that just bent itself a little too much and went through to the near side. So a minor score for the former Canberra captain, Jordan Harper. The Demons tick up to 3-4-22, and they lead this match by 15 points.
Can't imagine there's much time left in this quarter as we near the 30-minute mark. Taking the ball around is Goulden. They're going to work it up the middle of the park here. Waiting for it is Stevenson, but they're going to go further around the outside as Bartholomew's decides the outer wing is the place to be. He sends it around that away now. They come further in. Target was Stewart. Couldn't control it once again. Plenty of Canberra jerseys taking control of the ball. And they'll turn it around once again, the Demons. But now will we get hold in the ball? No, the ball's been taken over the boundary line, and it'll be a throw-in to take place in front of the I Love Blacktown sign on the far side of the ground. I spent a lot of time at Blacktown over many years.
Do you have one of those signs?
No, I don't. Got some other stuff, some other souvenirs from the Sydney Olympics from this part of town. Ball back in play. I reckon that might be Goulden who's come all the way up the ground, because there's nobody back in the defensive 50 for the Sydney University side. They're all moving up as they try and convert late possession into points here in this first quarter. But again, the ball out over the boundary line. Inside the attacking 50 now for the Sydney side, who trail the Canberra Demons 22 points to 7.
The Demons will be pretty keen to get to quarter time without conceding a late goal here. Sydney Uni need to try and get on the scoreboard to try and take a bit of momentum into the break. As the ball is thrown in, Paik knocks it down again, tries to do his own roving but can't. The ball spills free. It's knocked forward Canberra's way. Mitch Hardy gets a hand in. He's tackled. The umpire will come in and throw it up again between wing and half forward for Sydney Uni. We've played more than 31 minutes. It's the Canberra Demons leading by 15 points, and the game has started to open up in the past 10 minutes or so after a pretty dour start to this match, where we saw a lot of stoppages and not many shots on goal. We'll get another stoppage here as the Demons have worked the ball perhaps a couple of metres further forward, but we're still between wing and half forward for Sydney Uni on that outer side of the ground. The umpire throws the ball in the air. Paik and Banuelos go at it again. It comes down to Evans, who gives it back to Smout. Smout managed to get some sort of a hand pass to Matt Vardaniger, who runs into a bit of a brick wall. They've turned it over. There's the debutant in Gilfeder. He's dispossessed. He's going to be pinged for holding the ball, and a free kick to the Canberra Demons.
32-minute mark coming up. Canberra, if they want to score more points, will probably need to go very direct. They're taking their time. Calling for it in short was Smout. It'll be a longer option than that, though. Round to the centre wing position. Ball comes off the pack. No one able to get any control of it. We'll wait and see which way it goes. The answer is it goes nowhere. Ball up Just on the outside of the third of the centre circles. Eddie mentioned these before. So we've got the centre circle, the off-centre circle and the wing circle. The main one being used today. Fresh air swing in there. It may have been Harper who was trying to clear it for Canberra. Couldn't control it, and instead I reckon that might be Goulden who's burst up the ground and he's dispossessed in the tackle. Ball spills free. Umpire says play on. And then as it's picked up on the corner of the square, now it'll be a ball up. Trying to work out how we managed to get 33 minutes worth of footy
Well,
here,
it's because
Eddie.
there's been so many stoppages, I think, Chris.
I think it might be. As the siren sounds at 32 minutes and 47 seconds. It's a long, long first quarter for one where we've only seen 4 goals scored, but 3 of those goals going to the visiting side, the Canberra Demons. They lead 3-4-22 over the home side, Sydney Uni 1-1-7 in this round 18 NEAFL clash. With a lot on the line, we'll have the second quarter for you shortly here on Bar TV. And a dog taking a dump on the hill on the far side there. That'll be in the top of the division, is it? Is the dog in the top of the division there?
He's a good dog owner.
He's picked it up. Yeah. Bring your dog to the footy so he can take a turn on the hill, Dave.
There's a few people on there, Luke. Another dog.
Oh, another dog. Oh, another dog. There's three dogs.
Every man, woman, and his dog.
Second quarter about to get underway here at Blacktown International Sportspark with the visiting side, the Canberra Demons, 3-4-22 over Sydney University, 1-1-7. And this important NEAFL Round 18 clash was an intriguing game in store before it started. And Eddie Williams, it has become even more intriguing now with the likelihood that Canberra are going to be without Josh Maynard, their primary ruckman. He's down on the bench still. He hasn't been taken down to the rooms, but the boot has been off. The right boot has been off, so that would suggest an ankle injury of some sort. Now, that'll mean some structural changes for Canberra. Alex Pake will have to go in and do the bulk of the ruck work, but what else will it mean for Canberra? Because it'll flow down through the lineup.
Yeah, it does, and it's interesting to see Tom Fall starting in the middle again here rather than in the forward line. It puts a lot of pressure on Harry Carr and Andrew Swan inside 50. We may also see them pinch hit in the ruck at times. Tom Fall could do a bit of the ruck. I expect at some point we might see the captain, Aaron Bruce, move from defence into the forward line, just to give some of those other key position players a bit of a rest. As we're back underway in the middle, Pake and Tagliabue to go at it. That bounce went outside the centre circle, so we'll have a redo with the Demons going to the left of your screen in this opening quarter in their away strip, white with a bit of red to represent the Parliament House flagpole. Sydney Uni going to the right of your screen in their traditional blue and yellow hoops. Tagliabue with a good hit out. The umpire pays a free for some high contact. It goes the way of Bailey Stewart. So the opening clearance here to Sydney Uni. Stewart gave it off to Will Sirakowski, who kicks inside 50, but coming out to meet it was Angus Baker. He flicks the hand pass out to Kel Evans, Canberra's leading possession winner in the opening quarter. He's turned it over though. So we're playing between the arcs so far in this opening term. The kick now comes to the middle of the ground. A little bit imprecise. It comes off to Bailey Stewart again. Now the kick is to the wing, to a 2-on-2 contest. Both the Demons players flew. Highmore tried to give it back towards Moline. It's knocked forward though to Will Sirakowski, the former AFL player with North Melbourne and Hawthorn. His kick went through the fingers of Tristan Davies, and that allows the Demons to get out of trouble with a kick to the wing that landed in the lap of Mitch Hardy, another player who was on song in that opening quarter. Just the 4 disposals, but some good pressure acts around the ball from Mitch Hardy, certainly having an impact on the match in Canberra's forward half. Tom Highmore kicks into the middle for Reece Pollock. The kick couldn't quite get to him. In comes Mitch Maguire. He's tackled. He's going to be pinged for holding the ball. So a free kick to Sydney Uni in the middle of the ground. And it's Sydney Uni's second free kick of the match. They didn't have any in that opening term.
Canberra Demons only had 3. The umpires letting the ball flow as much as they could in what was a game that had a lot of a stop-start of its own volition in the first quarter. It was Banwellis who took the free kick and tried to put Sydney into attack. But once again, we've got plenty of players over the top of the ball. Pake coming in to try and pluck it free, but umpire Dean Garraway comes in to reassert control, and he'll toss the ball up. So Pake goes up against Tagliabue. Tagliabue with the greater height puts the ball down onto the chest of Will Sirakowski, sends the ball into the forward 50. It's bounced once, it's bounced twice, and it's Baker for Canberra, who gets a little bit of a hand pass away, comes back to him now. Now Baker, he could go for a run. Instead, he decides to pop it away. And for the Demons, it was Smout who sent the ball forward. He was looking there for Swan. Ball fell short, was punched away by Carroll for the Students. Working it down now is Crockmore. Crockmore can't control the pill. Kept his head over the ball, kept his composure. Sydney get it back now through Carroll. He goes short, gets it onto Goulden. Goulden then finds Veal. Veal goes by right foot in towards Hiscox, who can't take the mark. There's too many Canberra Demons players around him. Highmore, then he sends the ball and he finds Moline. And Moline, he's got options on his outside and his inside. It might be Roberts who's taking care of things at the moment for Canberra. They go further around the far side. That's Hardy. Hardy waits. He waits for someone to go into space up forward. Instead, he has to go short. Gets it on towards, is that Powell?
Maguire.
Maguire has it. We get a distance here. Those very white jerseys on this bright sunshine. There's a lot of glare there. And the ball goes back again to Hardy. So Canberra taking their time on the setup. I suspect it'll be one of the things that Cade Klemke spoke to them about would be how they were so wasteful inside forward 50 early in the game. They should have been 5 or 6 goals up if they'd been able to convert. And once again, they send the ball inside the forward 50. And once again, a turnover will ensue as the biggest man on the field, Sam Tagliabue, has it. He's got Goulden in short. Goes to an even shorter option in Stevenson. Stevenson goes for the switch of sides. Morrison is the only Sydney player there. There's not too many players around him, and he's got some speed, this man. He goes for one bounce. He'll be able to go for about 6 if he wants to. That's 2. That's 3. Will he go for another one? Well, he's going to run too far if he's not careful. Oh, and Tom Fall chases him down, and he gets the kick away. Must have been just in the nick of time. Stern picks it up, sends it inside forward 50, but Canberra have it all covered. Highmore takes it, and the rebound is on as the ball makes its way to Moline. He'll go for one bounce. Will he go for a second? No, he won't, because he's got plenty of options upfield. Gives it to Maguire. Maguire looking, deciding the best form of defence is attack, and sending the Canberra side back up towards their forward 50. Couple of players calling for it at centre half forward. It came off the hands of Owen Orban, taken on the fly by Pollock. He's put the ball inside the forward 50, but again, it's the rebound for the Sydney Uni side. It was Stevenson who got it. Now he sent it over to the far side of the ground where Will Sierakowski has it. He can go for a couple of bounces. Clever, stops, turns, puts it around onto the chest of the man at centre half forward in Stewart. Oh, he plays on. He finds Cole. Don't recall calling Cole much in the first quarter, but he's got a chance here. He's going to back himself, is he? I think he is, Eddie. I think he's going to have a shot from right on the 50. No, he plays on. Gives a little short ball, and he's found there Veal. Veal sends the high ball in towards the goal, and it's touched over the line for a point for Sydney.
We haven't had many set shots on goal today, Chris, other than Tristan Davies when he had the 50-metre penalty. This has been a game with not as many marks as you'd normally see, and a challenge for both sides to maintain possession. They are both taking the game on a little, but a lot of pressure around the footy in this match. We know how important it is. Tom Highmore's kick-in finds Sam Martin. Still inside defensive 50, the Demons. He thought about going short to Owen Orban, but instead he's going to go long down the line towards a contest on the wing. Hardy was just nudged under the footy, and that allows Sydney Uni in.
It's a good nudge from Darcy Cordell.
Coming inside 50 now, the students. Baker and Vardaninger were there. Baker gathers, he's mown down, he's holding the ball.
Absolutely cleaned up there was Baker. Thought he was into space, took a couple of steps, but he didn't realise the man behind him was going at considerable velocity and wrapped him up. Now, we talked about the lack of set shots, or you mentioned it a moment ago, Eddie. Well, this will be a set shot, and it'll be from about 48 out. There is hardly a breath of wind here today, so this will be a true test of kicking ability.
It's a man who likes having shots. He kicked 6 last week against Aspley, Josh Stern. He'll line up. He'll probably kick from just outside 50. Not much angle to speak of. He goes off the left from the paint of 50. It's a pretty good looking kick, and Josh Stern gets the first of this second quarter, and he cuts the margin to 8 points. It's Sydney Uni 2-2-14, trailing the Canberra Demons 3-4-22. 6.5 minutes gone, second quarter.
Yeah, Stern listed as 1 kick and 2 hand passes from the first quarter. I would suggest that he's had probably another couple in there. I know that there's a few that get bundled into the team column because of the stats guys can't necessarily pick every player on the way through. But I know there was one passage of play that led up to the Tristan Davies goal before, where I think he touched the ball 3 or 4 times on his way through. Had a very busy week last week, and in some fine form at the moment is Josh Stern. And he bags his first, his team's second, and it's an 8-point ball game here at Blacktown.
Another game underway in the NEAFL at the moment, Chris. Midway through the final quarter at Giants Stadium, the Giants 8-12-60 lead the Sydney Swans 7-6-48. So a 2-goal lead to the Giants, but that match not over yet. About 20 minutes to go probably at Giants Stadium. A curtain raiser to today's AFL Sydney derby. As Sydney Uni win another clearance, they're probably going to win plenty of them with Maynard off the ground for Canberra. They go deep inside 50 again. Harry Morrison's at the back. If he can keep it in play, he'll be dangerous here, Morrison. Good work by the Canberra Demons defence to lock the ball up here in the pocket, but then it spills free, and then it's kicked through for another goal for the students. They've got 2 in a minute.
I reckon it was Morrison. I think it was.
How good's Harry Morrison? We've said it before, and I dare say we'll say it again. And all of a sudden, with Josh Maynard off the ground, the margin has been trimmed to just 2 points.
Canberra need to just hold on at this stage. I'm just going to see what we can see. We don't have a clear view of the bench, and now I can't see Maynard on the bench, so I'm wondering whether he's actually been snuck off to the room for some additional treatment. Canberra are going to have to find a way to hang on here. They might need to, and it's difficult. This is a difficulty now because these days you're only allowed. Well, you've got to have the 6-6-6. Now, I know there were the old centre square restrictions as well, but you used to be able to pull a man up from defence to have him on the edge of the square or something. Now you've got to have the 6 back, the 6 forward. This will play very much into Sydney University's hands here, as long as they get the right men in the middle of the park, and I think they have done so. Let's see what happens on this one, as Tagliabue's taking a break. So in the ruck it was Banuelos, but again, it's plenty of Sydney Uni jerseys, and the ball goes into their attacking 50. It'll be Highmore, the first man to it. He's got a bit of time, can take a couple of steps, turns around, pops it to his left to Richardson for Canberra. So this time it's the Demons who rebound. Now over the far side of the ground is Owen Orban. He can't control the ball. It goes over for a boundary throw in. So the Demons get away that time, but Sydney, best thing for them to do is to just put their fast men right into the middle of the ground. Maybe we'll see a couple of their more customary defenders coming up, Eddie, into the centre, and just trying to take advantage of what is going to be an increased amount of possession from the restarts. Pake gets the best hand on the throw-in, but it's only gone a couple of metres before again a couple of players set upon the ball, take it to turf, and so we go from boundary umpire to field umpire, and another toss-up, and let's give that one to Canberra as well, but it comes away. I think it may have been Moline in there underneath, or was it Budd? Not sure. Ball comes away, another tackle, but again the umpire says no prior opportunity, and again it'll be a ball up. So it's been a game that's been played at 100 miles an hour and then at 10 miles an hour, then 100 miles an hour and 10 miles an hour, not winding up with too much in the middle. Charging through, that's great from Bartholomew's. Send the ball back to Hiscox. Hiscox looking for the hot spot. Highmore waits off the back, gets a tap to it. Davies, a man who likes to score goals. He taps the ball forward, trying to get to his own advantage. Can't do much with it. There's plenty of blue and gold in there at the moment, though. Waiting at the fall of the ball was Hiscox again. Can't control. Comes away now. Canberra's got a chance here if they're smart and settled. Baker, he looks for somebody. He's kicked it to the runner. There's nobody else there. It'll be tapped forward for Sydney by Stewart. Puts it into the path of Swan for Canberra. He gets a handle on it. He can't get the hand pass away despite desperate attempts. Umpire will come in and ball it up again just inside the boundary line and not too far from centre wing position, grandstand side of Blacktown.
Just in front of the Canberra Demons interchange bench, Banuelos won the hit out. Pake went in hard as well. Harper lays a strong tackle there on Lewis Stevenson, and we'll get another ball up between wing and half forward for Sydney Uni, who are really pressing in this second quarter. 2-0 for the term for the students. A good tackle by Cal Evans, who's been busy early for Canberra, and we will get yet another ball up. Cal Evans, the leading disposal winner for Canberra with 10, alongside Mitch Maguire. Adam Goulden with 12 disposals for Sydney Uni. Pake knocked the hit out down. It comes to Evans, burrowing his way through. He lost the ball. Vardaniga makes sure it's all locked up. The man at the bottom of the pack was Darcy Cordell for Sydney Uni, and we get yet another ball up. Banuelos and Pake both got hands to that, trying to snatch it off each other. It's flicked out the back. Vardaniga is in there again. We will get another ball up. Stacks on the mill in this second term. The ball still between wing and half forward for Sydney Uni. Can anyone get a clearance here? Pake and Banuelos, they fell over. Banuelos knocked the ball forward to Veal. He couldn't gather. Stewart went in hard. He's tackled to the ground. Did he have prior opportunity? The umpire said he did. He said you went the fend off. That was your prior opportunity. Then you didn't get rid of the footy. So it's a free kick for holding the ball, going the way of Connor Owen Orban, who just looks slightly groggy as he goes back to take his kick. He's called to play on. He's just going to drive the ball forward to the wing. Alex Pake is in front. Flag was Banuelos. There was a block. It'll be a free kick to Andrew Swan. So he'll get the ball moving forward quickly for Canberra. He goes deep inside 50. Perhaps he moved it too quickly in the end, because the ball was chopped off there by Luke Robertson, and he kicks it out to Hiscox. Hiscox has one bounce. He kicks it to the wing. And now a chance for Sydney Uni to go forward through Monty Crockmore in his 200th club game for the students. Had a couple of men approaching him on the mark. Managed to get a little kick away. Now Sydney Uni go inside 50. It's a one-on-one contest. It comes to Tristan Davies. And Tristan Davies dribbles through the goal and puts Sydney Uni in front.
Well, Canberra seem to have run out of options here, Eddie. They're just looking bereft of ideas as the ball goes up to their attacking end of the ground. Sydney have proven much stronger on the rebound in this quarter, I should say. And lo and behold, 3 goals to nothing. The Canberra Demons yet to add to their quarter-time score. And for Sydney, more disturbing for Canberra is that there's been 3 different goal scorers. Harry Morrison, Josh Stern and Tristan Davies all doing damage.
So 2 goals now for Tristan Davies, the former Williamstown forward, and 3 unanswered goals for the students in this second quarter. The Demons need to come up with something. It is tough going up against one of the best ruckmen in the league, Sam Tagliabue, and doing it without the strike ruckman in Josh Maynard, who left the field in that opening quarter and has not returned. And now we see Andrew Swan coming in to do the ruck against big Sam Tagliabue.
It's going to be a tough ask, and Sydney, they've got a number of small players who are in there in that centre square. So they're going for that fleet of foot option by the looks of things, but it's one down towards Smout by Canberra. He puts an up and under rugby style kick into the way of, it may have been Harper who was underneath it, couldn't do much with it. There's still a hot potato as we see Goulden get a soccer off the ground. No one able to take it away. Pack forms, and once again, ball just outside the 50. Tom Fall was the man who had it when it all cleared, but the umpire balls it up just outside the 50. Swan goes in, wins the ruck contest, but again, too many Sydney Uni players there trying to shark the ball. Might have been Baker who's come forward for Canberra in there, was it? I think it might have been. Anyway, we see the ball still around, about a centre-half forward for Canberra, but now it's Barkley for Sydney Uni. He puts the ball onto a teammate in Will Sierakowski, comes back to Barkley, sends the ball further forward now. Canberra in prime position to repossess here, and they do through Bruce. He turns around, sends it over to the far side of the ground. Smout has all the time in the world. There's nobody near him. Calling for it inboard. They nearly spoiled each other. I think Vardaniga was the man who was yelling for it the loudest, and he gets the pill. Can send his side back inside the forward 50. There's a couple of players waiting for it. Good grab, is it? No, ball is gone to ground. Call to play on by the umpire, and we'll wait to see if it comes free. Fall gets it, loses it, gets it again. And now it's another Demons player who's in there, but again, fierce tackling from Sydney University deep in defence. And the umpire to ball it up.
There's Don Roberts at the bottom of the pack there. His first game back since April.
Haven't seen a lot of Roberts this season, kind of obviously, as the ball comes free. Baker waits underneath it for Canberra, but in the middle of the pack there was 2 Sydney players there, and they wind up with it again through Hiscox. He's got a bit of time. He can go for a bounce. He could possibly go for another one. No, instead goes for a short hand pass. Had to wait for it. Almost a hospital hand pass was Stern. As soon as he got the pill, he was jumped upon, and Baker wrapping him up in the tackle. And so it'll be a ball up at right half forward for the Sydney University side.
The high hand pass is never a good idea.
No,
we saw that with Harry Carr in the opening quarter.
Yeah.
Do not hand pass the ball above someone's head. It is just asking for trouble. As Sydney Uni goes inside 50 again, but camping back as he so often does is Tom Highmore for the Demons, one of their co-vice captains this season. He dished it off to Sam Martin, who kicks it to Moline, and now the things are starting to open up a bit for the Demons. Moline to Smout to Hardy. Hardy waits, gives the hand pass forward. This is looking much better from the Canberra side. They go inside 50 and they'll get a mark in the pocket. He'll play on, he'll run in, and it's a goal. And it was Jordan Harper, I think, who ran that one through. Was it, Chris?
I think it was. Harper going around on the boundary line, sharking that one. I think trying to fool the Sydney Uni side into thinking that he was going to stop and go back into the pocket, but just kept enough momentum to enable him to play on. Did so, check side kick, and he gets his second for the afternoon. And we have another lead change. The Canberra Demons back in front, 4-4-28 to Sydney Uni, 4-2-26, 16 and a half gone in the second term.
It was Jordan Harper with that goal, putting the Demons back in front. We mentioned at the start how good Canberra is on the turnover, and the ball was kicked inside 50 for Sydney Uni. Tom Highmore, as he so often does, took the intercept mark. And then a great passage of play on that outer side, ending up with a goal to Jordan Harper. So Cade Klemke will be happy with that. And just a settler for the Demons. They are back in front, but it is a tough ask for them without Josh Maynard in the ruck. So important that they just stay in this contest. They don't want things to get away from them before half-time.
Powell and Maguire waiting just outside the centre circle, and there is the aforementioned Maguire, as we'll get the secondary ball up, as it's Tagliabue going head-to-head with Swan in the ruck for Canberra. Ball up, and Swan probably got the best of it there. Now, can Powell make it a play to his advantage? Well, Swan gets it, has a little hand pass over the top. Owen Orban wasn't coming through from defence and put the Canberra side into attack, and Harper was waiting underneath it. He's asking where was the mark, sir. Plenty of other people were asking it as well. Play on is called. It bounces around a couple of times. It winds up with Hardy, who takes the snap from about 35 out and misses to the left. Canberra extend their lead by a point. They go to 4-5-29. Sydney Uni 4-2-26. Playing on to the students, and they do so via Goulden. They go around over the far side of the ground. Ball comes back in. It might be Veal. Shorthand pass. It winds up with Reinhardt. Reinhardt sees the ball. We're seeing plenty of it. Now it goes to Stevenson. Stevenson goes up forward. He was looking there for Foster. Foster couldn't control. Baker, he's been very good in defence for Canberra today. Who's he give it to this time? Well, couldn't choose too many better options than Maguire, but Maguire didn't make the most of it. And once again, the ball in dispute. And it'll be, once again, a ball up. It's been the pattern of the play this afternoon, Eddie. We really haven't had more than 2 or 3 minutes of free-flowing play at any one time, have we?
No, and Canberra really need their midfielders to stand up here, the likes of Alex Smout, Mitch Maguire, Jordan Harper. They really need to be able to win the ball out of these stoppages, whether or not Canberra is winning the hit-outs. They need those experienced midfielders to step up. They might step up here as the ball's kicked to Reece Pollock in the middle of the Blacktown International Sportspark. He kicks it inside 50. Harper was there, but sitting back in front of him was Ned Reinhardt, taking a comfortable mark on the chest, and another wasted inside 50 entry there for the Canberra side. Reinhardt is called to play on. He just chips it back for Michael Carroll, who marks in the opposite pocket. Harry Carr comes in to man the mark. Carroll's called to get things moving on. He's got Hiscox short. He'll go a little longer than that. It's towards Davies and Banuelos. It's knocked away from Banuelos by Bruce. Came out to Owen Orban, who floats it inside 50. Sydney Uni have the numbers, but they don't have the mark. Harper gives it to Roberts. Roberts gives it to Pollock. Pollock's tackled. Pollock gets the hand pass free. Things open up here for Lucas Moline, who fires at goal and puts it through.
Well, he owes a teammate a beer. And I reckon that the teammate he owes the beer to is Hardy, who managed to just push the Sydney Uni defender, who was reaching up there just away as he was reaching up to try and touch it on the way through.
Shepherding on the goal line is an underrated skill.
Oh, absolutely.
I think, Chris.
Absolutely. And Lucas Moline loves getting a sausage roll too, just quietly.
So a 9-point break now for the Canberra Demons, and they are starting to get a bit more confidence around those contests, around those stoppages. And when they've got ball in hand, they've looked really good today, Canberra. It's just a matter of winning the footy in the first place and then getting it in the hands of Smout, of Maguire, of Baker, those good ball users to send it inside 50 and create these sorts of opportunities. I
like what we've just seen in the middle of the ground there. There was a virtual committee meeting there at Canberra. So who did you have? You had Paik, Powell, Smout and Maguire. I mean, look, that's a pretty decent quartet to have in there. They're obviously discussing this is what we've got to do. We've got to make sure we're not going to win a lot of these tap outs, so we've got to make sure that we're smart about it and the ball goes back into play.
Exactly, and there are ways to win the footy from a losing ruck. I like having Jack Powell in the middle because he goes in hard. We've got the good ball users in Maguire and Smout, who, if Powell can knock it out to them, they'll be able to deliver the footy inside 50 pretty well. So I don't think
Powell was on at the start of the quarter, Eddie. No. I think that's his coming onto the ground, I think, has perhaps coincided with Canberra doing better out of the bounces. Paik has the ball in hot dispute here, and now that's Maguire having an attempt to try and clear it. Plenty of Canberra jerseys around, but it's in the Sydney attacking territory at the moment. It goes inside their 50, but once again, cut off in defence for Canberra. Is that Bruce? It was Bruce, and now they go around the far side of the ground, and the ball is with Alex Smout.
Alex Smout, he has a bounce, gets a shepherd there from Baker, then gives it to Baker. Baker runs away from Josh Stern, sends the footy inside 50, but it's been chopped off in defence by Sydney Uni. So another chance for the students to try and clear the ball out of defence. It's in the hands of Tim Barton, still deep inside his own defensive 50. He's called to get things moving on. He's going to go across the ground. That's a dangerous looking kick. It bounces okay for Cal Evans. Evans goes with the snap. It's a high footy. It probably won't have the distance. It's off hands. Bit of a waste there from Cal Evans, who had more time and space than he might have thought. A minor score for the Demons, and they're now out by 10 points.
Also had Tom Fall waiting not too far away, who may have been a better option, able to turn around and bullock his way towards goal, but it'll be Sydney to bring the ball back into play. 22 gone, second quarter, and the Demons up by 10. They need a bigger win than this, though. They've got a massive percentage deficit, or it's 2.5. Well, this late in the season, up against your direct opponent, 2.5 percentage points is massive in the grand scheme of things. With Sydney working the ball up the middle of the park. Now they've got a couple of players waiting for it. I tell you who's on the burst is Gilfetter, the debutant, and they've ignored him completely. They've gone the other way, and it's Riley Budd. Can't control it. Ball falls to, I reckon that's Sirakowski, going for a short run now. Goes with the left foot in towards full forward. There he is, Gilfetter. Can he get a goal on debut? He's going to have to make work very, very hard to get it. He's got the ball. He turns around. He goes to his right foot, and he can't control it. And the Canberra Demons rush it through for a point. Would have been a spectacular goal for his first one at NEAFL level, but instead it's a behind, rushed off the hands, and it's a 9-point game. Sydney Uni 4-3-27, Canberra 5-6-36.
Only a couple of disposals for Sam Gilfetter on debut, but he's been lively. He's been there about, couple of tackles, and a promising start for a man who only started playing Australian rules football in 2017 in Division 5 with Sydney Uni, now finding himself on debut here in the NEAFL, playing at a very high level of football indeed. Matt Vardaninger goes backwards to Sam Martin, who thought he might have been wrong-footed there for a second, but recovered well to take the mark. A dangerous kick from Martin. In comes Andrew Sirakowski. He couldn't control it. It comes back to Martin. Martin's kick is a better one that time, a steadier to Smout, who gave it off to Evans. Evans tries to give it to Swan. Swan couldn't take it. It came there to Carroll. He was under pressure from Fall. It ended up with Barton. Barton is taken over the boundary line by Swan and Fall, and we'll get a throw in. Canberra players appealing for a free kick. There's nothing doing, and it'll be Paik to go up against Tom Banwelos here in ruck. And I suppose that Josh Maynard's injury gives Sydney Uni a chance to allow Sam Tagliabue a bit more of a rest in this match, and Tom Banwelos perhaps spending a little bit more time in the ruck as the students go inside 50 again. A clever tap on from Davies. He just couldn't quite find Morrison, but Morrison trying to burst his way through.
Oh.
He does it well. He steps around and he kicks another goal.
Oh, goal of the day.
We've seen some nice goals at that end of the ground, and that was just about the best of them. Harry Morrison trims the margin to 3 points, and it's the two Harrys at either end of the ground, Harry Carr and Harry Morrison, providing plenty of highlights this Saturday afternoon.
That was amazing stuff from Morrison. Turned to his right, turned to his left, found a gap where there wasn't one a moment previous. Slammed the ball through from next to no distance, but just to create the opportunity. It wasn't there. It wasn't there. It was there for just a fraction of a second, and he judged it, and then it wasn't there again. One step later, it closed behind him. Magnificent work. Love skills like that. His second, his side's fifth. And we're back, as you said, Eddie, to a 3-point game. 25 minutes gone in the second quarter. Well, we knew it would be a close one today.
We've just got a warning here, I think, for the 6-6-6 perhaps. I think the Sydney Uni wingman perhaps wasn't in position correctly at the right time. So that might be a warning there to Sydney Uni, and if it happens again, we'll see a free kick to the Demons.
There are a few extra lines on the ground over there, so maybe a little bit confusing about where he could have lined up. But the ball goes once again into the attacking part of the ground for the Sydney Uni side. But Canberra, they've got extra numbers there somehow, and it comes free to Evans. Evans goes with a short hand pass, and he gets it on to... that was Highmore who'd come up the ground. Highmore finding Paik. Paik slings the ball onto his boot, left foot. It goes about 8 metres before it's tapped into the path of Highmore, and Highmore can't control it. Brings it out over the boundary line to the one part of the ground where there is shade at the moment. And the umpire will throw it in from just adjacent to said shade near the Sydney University interchange gates. 26-minute mark of the second quarter. Paik does the physical work, and then the ball gets away from him. Hardy tried to pick it up for Canberra. Couldn't control it. Mitch Maguire goes in over the top as he grabs hold of Cordell. It was Darcy Cordell who had it for the Sydney Uni side, but the umpire took possession once again. Ball comes down off that tap to Smout. Punched away in the favour of University, but only as far as Sam Martin for Canberra. Now it's picked up by Stevenson for the students. He gives it to Bartholomew's. Bartholomew's kick. Now, was it touched off the boot? No, it wasn't. It is out of bounds on the full. And so it'll be coming back. Free kick for Canberra for Ben House. Now, who have Canberra got? They need to get somebody in space. They've got a man in space, but it's only short, and that's Martin. Can't imagine that House will go for him. He doesn't. He goes longer. Paik waits, gets in front, takes an easy grab. Centre wing position. Grandstand side of Blacktown. And now he's got in short, Owen Auburn. Clever play. Baker's waiting on his own over in the middle of the ground. Lead is ignored. Instead, they go further down towards forward. Tom Fall flies, can't take it. In fact, it was cut off there more by Barton than anything else. And now this may just stay in the field of play. It does. Bounces once and twice in path of Stevenson. And also Owen Orban, and it'll be a throw-in. The umpire will get a moment just in the shade, but he'll toss it back in from just in the sun.
Late in the second quarter, Harry Carr coming back onto the ground for Canberra, replacing Tom Fall. He gets ready at this stoppage, Harry Carr. He'll be trying to work his way forwards. He's on the run. The ball's thrown back in. Paik takes it out of the ruck against Banuelos, knocked it down to Smout. He goes inside 50. It cleared the pack, cleared Powell, nearly ended up with Pollock. It's kicked away, but ends up with Hardy. Hardy off the right, goes inside 50 and hits his housemate Mitch Maguire on the chest. And Mitch Maguire should be within range.
Just.
He'll be just on his limit. He'll kick from inside 50, Mitch Maguire. He's out on a 45-degree angle or so at left half forward, maybe a little less than that.
You've got the best seat in the house for this one.
We're right behind him here on NEAFL TV. Mitch Maguire had a pretty good match so far. He's coming up for disposal number 13, which will make him the equal leading possession winner on the ground. He kicks from just inside the 50. He starts it out to the right. It's not going to come back enough. It doesn't have the distance. So in the end, no score, and perhaps it was just a little bit too far out that time for Mitch Maguire. As Sydney Uni clear the ball, it comes out to Cole, the Tasmanian. Now the kick into the corridor. No mark. It'll spill to Tom Fall. Fall off the left. Goes inside 50. Will it get to the back of the pack? It won't. Again, the Sydney Uni defence setting up pretty well, and Tom Banuelos took the mark. He chips to the opposite pocket, and the students will get out of defence late in the second quarter.
Banuelos having a very good day for the Sydney Uni side, as is that man there in Stevenson. Now it goes to Davies, and Davies turns around, sends it on the outside. Taking it through was Veal. I'm not quite sure what the aim of the exercise was there, Eddie. I was lost for words because I didn't really see anyone who was going to be able to retrieve the ball. I think it was a misdirected kick. Fortunately for Sydney Uni, it has bounced a couple of times and goes over the boundary line for a throw-in. We're nearing the 30-minute mark here. Fascinating contest playing out here. Just 3 points between these two sides. There's merely a struck match between them across the course of this season. Of course, the last time they played it was a draw. Who'll take the lead at half-time? Well, the ball was going in towards the Sydney University goals, but they couldn't do anything with it. They might get a secondary chance at it here. Wait to see. But again, for Canberra, it comes free. Over onto this grandstand side, Gilfetta, he's in there, he's slung to the ground, tries to get the ball away from underneath. Umpire is going to say you had an opportunity. So the ball should be coming to Canberra, and it does. This would be Highmore. No, it's gone the other way. So Gilfetta gets the free.
And there are some Sam Gilfetta fans to our left who are cheering on.
Well, the family, they've been able to watch this journey over the last 2.5 years. And you've got to wonder, with a young man like this, he's only still 21, you've got to wonder whether if he can continue to improve his skills, because he's gone from fifths all the way through to first, through to the Premier competition last year, now into the NEAFL. You've just got to wonder how much further that journey's got to go for this young man at the age of 21. But right now, we focus on the attack for Sydney University. Will they be able to take the lead before the break? Ruck contest sees the ball punched almost immediately back towards the boundary line. And has that come off the foot of Bartholomew's on the way through? It has. A little bit of luck there for the Canberra Demons, as Bartholomew's was just charging full tilt and the ball just dropped on his foot. So the Demons bring the ball back into play. The high kick to get over the man on the mark. Fall waits for it. The punch goes to Tim Barton, but at half-time we've got a 3-point game on our hands, and I would be not even game to try and pick which side will come out on top. The question will be for me, Eddie, after the break, how will Canberra continue to cover the absence of their primary ruckman in Josh Maynard, or will Maynard indeed be able to get back out there on the ground? If he can get back out there, even if it is only on one leg, it'll just mean Canberra can resume some of their normal service, but I'm not seeing Maynard down there on the bench. 3 points the margin at the break. Eddie Williams, your thoughts before we go to a quick cup of tea?
Well, it's been an exciting game, hasn't it? It's been a bit frenetic. We've had a lot of stoppages, but when the ball's been able to get clear from those stoppages, it's been a fast-paced game. Not a heap of marks, not a heap of set shots on goal, but some very exciting finishes. Some good forward play from both sides. Harper and Carr at one end, Morrison and Davies at the other. 2 goals each for Harry Morrison and Tristan Davies. Josh Stern with a single for Sydney Uni, while Jordan Harper has 2 for the Demons. Singles to Alex Paik, Harry Harry Carr and Lucas Mullane. Mitch Maguire and Cal Evans have 13 disposals each for the Demons, as does Adam Goulden for Sydney University. At half-time, it's the Canberra Demons 5-6-36, leading Sydney Uni 5-3-33.
The second half about to get underway here at Blacktown International Sportspark, and what a fascinating second half it is going to be. We have not seen any sign of Canberra Demons ruckman Josh Maynard since he went off the ground early in that second quarter. Actually, it was in the first quarter, wasn't it? Four-quarter time with what we think is an ankle injury, and Alex Paik is indeed out there in the ruck. So Canberra, a big man down in their rotations, but they have a 3-point lead. Can they hang on to it? Can they build on it? Or will the Sydney Uni side come from behind to win this one? My name's Chris Coleman. Eddie Williams alongside me, and we'll bring you the answer over the next hour or so.
A season-defining second half getting underway here at Blacktown. Neither ruckman got a hand on it. Paik tapped it backwards, but Jake Bartholomew's gets the opening clearance of this second half. Highmore couldn't take the mark in defence, but barging through was Angus Baker. He kicks into the middle of the ground, but it's been turned over again. So another chance for the students to go forward there through Lewis Stevenson, who kicks it out towards half forward. There'll be a free kick paid for the chop of the arms. The umpire says there's no advantage, so the ball comes there to Monty Crockmall, who gives it off to Stevenson, who fires it towards the goal square. No mark. It's off hands. It's at the back of the pack. The ball stays in play. It's kicked out of defence towards Cal Evans, and Evans takes a strong mark for the Canberra Demons. Alex Smout starting this second half on the bench for Canberra, perhaps trying to avoid any tag which Sydney Uni might be looking to place on him. Evans kicks down the line. He lands it right on the line, and then it bounces out of play. So we'll get a boundary throw in between wing and half forward for Sydney Uni, going to the left of your screen in this third quarter. The Canberra Demons kicking to the right, and the right of screen has probably been the scoring end. It's certainly been the end where we've seen some pretty amazing goals kicked so far in this match. Sam Martin comes in to take a chest mark for Canberra. He's called to play on. Wants to get onto his right foot. He kicks down the line beyond the wing. Andrew Swan and Tom Fowler there for Canberra. Swan had it for a moment, but it's spilt there to Barton. Barton got the hand pass out to Cole.
Ooh.
Cole was bundled over the boundary line, and we'll get a throw in right on our commentary position.
No quarter asked, no quarter given. 90 seconds gone in this second half at Blacktown. Paik gets the front position, but Tagliabue gets the best of it. Goes down towards Stevenson. He's been busy. Comes back to now Will Sierakowski, showing his class and his speed. Puts the ball just short of Davies, who can't do much with it, but instead picking it up off the turf there was Banwelos. He goes for the grubber kick. It bounces away to the right, then it turns back to the left, but not enough, and it's through for a point. The margin cut to 2 points now, and Sydney Uni on to 5-4-34. The Demons 5-6-36. Canberra, well, they can breathe easy for just a moment. Screaming for the ball was Maguire in short. They don't go that way. Instead, the longer option is taken. Get it right out of dodge. Target was Hardy. Maybe went over him, and perhaps it was Tagliabue who got the better of it. Punched it back inside the forward 50 for the Sydney Uni side. But play breaks down with Stacks on the mill, and it'll be the ball up 50 out from the Sydney Uni goal. Tagliabue taps it down. He gets it onto Stevenson. Stevenson goes for the chip shot of all things, and he puts it over the top. And he gets a goal and puts his side back in front. And he moves on, Sydney rather move on to 6-4-40. The Canberra Demons 5-6-36.
Cal Evans just looking a little sore after that contest for Canberra, but that's the sort of thing Sydney Uni would have practiced in the warm-up before the game. Throw it up, ruckman knocks it down to the Rover. Rover runs in and kicks the goal. A perfect setup by Sydney Uni, and a perfect finish there by Lewis Stevenson. That's the start they were after in this second half. Sydney Uni take the lead. They're up by 4 points, and as we've said, with Maynard not on the ground, it creates opportunities for Tagliabue to give his midfielders first look at the footy, and the Demons have just got to try and hang in this contest and stick with Sydney Uni for as long as they can. We know how evenly matched these two sides are around the ground. It's just going to be the ruck where we start to see a bit of a differential open up.
Well, Canberra, they've given up the lead. They've surrendered it a couple of times today. They've managed to take it back on previous occasions, but this time it is the Sydney side going into attack once again. Stewart was the man who was doing the bulk of it, and he plays it like a schoolboy soccer player there, really, with a couple of players hanging off him. It bounces back, probably in Canberra's favour, but on the subject of schoolboy stuff, this really is what you see at the juniors, as there's players in there all over the place. No one's able to get it free. Umpire letting the ball go, and it pops out there. Baker has it tucked under one arm. He's been set upon by Crockmall in his 200th game for the club. And the Sydney University player manages to draw enough of a stop to the play for the umpire to ball it up just inside the attacking 50 circle for Sydney. And now, shot comes from about 45 out. And the goal comes from about 45 out to Jake Bartholomew's. And Sydney University, they've come out to play in this third quarter and they've got the first 2 goals of it in 4.5 minutes.
An excellent start to this second half by Sydney Uni, and just some clean ball movement, something they weren't able to do much in the first half. Just opening up those opportunities, and Jack Bartholomew's found himself in a bit of space, steadied, and a nice finish there. And now Sydney Uni out by 10 points, and Alex Smout and Riley Budd come back onto the ground for Canberra. They're going to be important players in this second half, and Riley Budd not running into defence. It looks like he's running onto the wing, which is an unusual position to see Riley Budd, normally a key defender for the Canberra Demons.
Yeah, Canberra having to reshuffle the deck a little bit here. They've also got Powell, who's trying to get back on. I don't think the message has gone out to the player that Powell's supposed to be replacing, so he's stuck and frustrated on the centre wing position. We saw him most influential through the second quarter as Canberra had to adapt to the loss of their primary ruckman in Maynard. Pate gets the best of it, puts it down into the path of Maguire, can't do anything with it though. Stevenson taps it back over his head. I think that might be Barkley again who does the best of it for the Sydney Uni side. Pack forms on the corner of the square and it'll be another ball up. Sydney won't mind this. Now that they've got the lead, they won't mind if the game becomes a little bit congested. And now it's Tom Fall coming off. He's going to be replaced by Jack Powell for the Canberra Demons. And Powell might wind up with the ball coming towards him in a moment if the Canberra side can do something with it, but they can't get control of it. And it's just very hot stuff from the Sydney side deep in their own defence. And as a result, the clearing kick doesn't go terribly far. I thought it was going to be Bartholomew's able to run onto it again, but it's popped free. Coming back onto it was Barkley. They turn around and look at this. It comes back to him again. Now he goes back on his inside. He finds a Cordell. Cordell sends the ball into the forward 50 once again. Pack forms and it comes off hands. Still messy stuff in there. Might be Gilfetter, the debutant, who's got it. Goes back into the pack. Well, you can tell he used to play rugby union, and he's not afraid to charge into a pack and wind up at the bottom of it.
He's gone in hard today, Sam Gilfetter. As we say, hasn't necessarily had a lot of disposals. He won't end up with a lot of stats to his name, but he's been there and thereabouts. He's been pretty lively, and I reckon he's enjoying his first taste of NEAFL footy. Sam Tagliabue took it out of the ruck. He was dispossessed. That would have been a free for holding the ball last year, but they've amended those rules to try and encourage the ruckman to take the ball out of the ruck a bit more. Demons players are appealing for holding the ball, but the umpire perhaps explaining some of those rule changes. And we'll get a ball up inside 50 for Sydney Uni. They hold a 10-point lead. 7 minutes gone in this third quarter. Tagliabue wins it down again. It comes to Stewart. Stewart gets a kick away. It's a high ball. Bruce knocks it down. Gilfetter's chasing after it again. It's kept in play. It'll come now to Crockmull, who couldn't quite get a kick away. This is tough stuff in the goal square. Desperate defence by the Canberra Demons. The umpire will come in and ball it up at the top of the goal square for Sydney Uni. A dangerous position, especially with Sam Tagliabue here doing the ruck for Canberra. Alex Pake needs to try and either knock the ball through for a behind or just knock the ball as far away as possible. Tagliabue takes it out of the ruck. Couldn't get boot to ball. It's socket clear. Vardaninger's chasing after it. Stern's there as well. Hardy tries to lay a tackle. He's got Owen Orban supporting him, and we'll get a ball up in the pocket. Good play from Canberra not to concede a score from that initial ball up. We get another stoppage deep inside 50 for Sydney Uni. It's thrown up in the air. Tagliabue palms it down decisively into a bit of space. It came to Aaron Bruce, who managed to knock it out. Picked up by Tagliabue. Tagliabue gets the kick free. It's hacked off mid-air. Oh, that's an extraordinary goal. That is a remarkable passage of play by Sydney Uni. A couple of volleys and they get the ball through for the goal. A bit like the cross through to the striker. The striker finished it off. And Sydney Uni take a 16-point lead.
Did the ball touch the ground off there?
I don't think it did, Chris.
I'm just thinking back.
And I don't know who kicked it either.
I'm trying to work that out myself. It was done at speed. I was ready to give it to Davies.
Well, it's been a fast start, and it's been credited to Nick Foster, the man who kicked 4 goals last time these two sides played. And he kicked, it wasn't the match winner, but it was the match drawer late in the game, Nick Foster. He pops up at the right moments. He popped up there. and managed to sock it through a pretty remarkable goal. We've seen plenty of highlights today, and another injury for Canberra. It looks like their captain, Aaron Bruce, coming from the field. He's clutching at his right arm.
Oh, he's got it held up they've turned his jersey into a makeshift sling there. That's very, very bad news for Canberra. He'll be going straight down the tunnel. He will take no further part in the game, and that may be his season done as well, because that looks like maybe a potential fracture there, as they've got the arm in a sling. And Sydney University, well, everything going their way. Banuelos it was who had it. Ball winds up with Cordell, turns around onto his left foot, puts it into the path of Stewart. Stewart, he can run, and he does run, gets tackled, but he gets the kick away first. Sirakowski, that'd be Will. He turns around as a man behind him who sends it across to the other Sirakowski and Andrew. He's got the mark, played on, touched off the boot for mine for Owen Orban. It goes to the opposite number 7 in Bartholomew's. He can set sail towards goal now, and he sends the Sydney Uni side back into attack. People flying, no one able to take control of it. It comes off the hands. Now chasing after it is Davies, and Davies taps it to the relative safety of the boundary line. A couple of the Canberra players asking for a deliberate out of bounds, but the umpire says no sirree, Bob. The ball winds up back with the Canberra Demons. Back with the umpire, deep in attack for the Sydney University side. Wait for it to come back into play. Paik contests the ruck from behind. Banuelos, I think, was the man in front. Ball's been grabbed out of the air. Player who grabbed the ball has been grabbed and taken to ground. Umpire says, I'll have the pill.
So another stoppage inside 50 for Sydney Uni, who now lead this match by 16 points. Paik probably got the hit out that time. He shoveled the hand pass forward for Riley Budd to run onto. Budd puts it into the path of Powell, but it bounced away from him. It bounces over the boundary line. We'll get a throw in just in front of the Sydney Uni interchange bench. They'll be pretty comfortable with a 16-point lead at this stage in the match. We know about the ladder, 6th v 7th. Sydney Uni just clinging on to a spot in the NEAFL top 6. They do have a game in hand, currently equal with the Canberra Demons on points. They lead by just a couple of percent. So this is an important match for both sides, but especially a must-win game for the Demons, who have a bye next week, while Sydney Uni will play all 3 of the final rounds. A long kick inside 50 from Jake Bartholomew's. Helse gets there, gets hands to it, gathers. He's tackled Ben Helse in his 100th game. He gets the ball, not quite eventually, to the boundary line. He used every bit of his experience there, Ben Helse, to win the footy, stop Tristan Davies from getting it, and to eventually get the ball over the line without conceding a free for holding the ball or for deliberate. Well played, Ben Helse. We get a throw in. Again inside 50 for Sydney Uni, who've done almost all the attacking in this third quarter. Paik and Banuelos to go at it in ruck. Paik started in front. He knocked it down with his left hand. He couldn't find a teammate. Riley Budd lays a big tackle. Will get yet another stoppage inside 50 for Sydney Uni. This suits the students pretty well, although if the Demons can slingshot the ball out of this contest, they'll suddenly find themselves in acres and acres of space, but there's currently no space at all in Sydney Uni's forward line. We're going to get another ball up.
There's 31 players inside the forward 50 for the Sydney University side at the moment. That gives you some idea of the congestion. I suppose Sydney are used to the congestion more than Canberra. Ball comes free now for the Canberra Demons, and it's about to go into the acres and acres of space that Eddie mentioned, but no, it's picked up off the ground by Davies. Davies gets a hand pass across to a teammate. It comes back on the outside. Oh, beautiful little 1-2 in there as Hiscox undoes the good work with an underground pass, but it's picked up by Guildford. It turns around, sends them back into attack. Waiting underneath it there was Foster. Couldn't do anything with it. It might come back to him, and it does. No, it doesn't. It goes around through hands and winds up with Veal. Veal at the hot spot. Could have charged in towards goal, but got tackled. Instead it winds up with Cordell. Cordell sending the ball in towards Davies in the forward line, but now Canberra can rebound, and they do so via Baker. Baker looks up the ground, finds Moline. Moline in a contest, can't control it, and goes over the boundary line, but he's putting his body on the line, as are many of these Canberra Demons players. They know that their season is hanging right in the balance right about now, and they have a 16-point deficit as returning to the field of play.
There's a
Kel
high
Evans.
contact free kick off the ball here. Which way will it go? It looks like it's going to be a Canberra Demons free. So there was contact off the ball inside 50 for Sydney Uni. The free will be paid where the ball was to the Canberra Demons.
There's Paik, I reckon. Is that Smout over on the far side of the ground?
Yep.
He has it. Looking for options. Comes back in towards the middle of the park, and they've got a couple of them waiting for it there. reckon that was Powell. Powell sends the ball into the forward line. It's been hardly sighted down this end of the ground, and now the students rebound. They do that via Reinhardt onto Banwellos. He's been one of their best today. Gives it to Veal, who's also been busy across the course of the day. Canberra managed to re-grab the ball, sending it back into the forward line. Waiting for it was Swan. Gets the mark. Too far out to score. He's about 65 from home. Calling for it across this side of the ground is Roberts. He's running down towards the goal square. Owen Auburn is also down there. That's the man that I reckon this has been targeted to. Can't get there. He's behind. Roberts will turn around, wheels onto it on his 50th game. Turns it around, sends it on to Harry Carr, who's the unluckiest man in the world. He's kicked it straight into a teammate. He's been robbed of a goal there. Ball comes free, and it's the Sydney Uni side who get the most of it, but it might go out on the full. It does go out on the full. Canberra will get it back. Now, who's the closest Canberra player to this?
House.
Well, it's House, was it? He was a million miles. There was no one within cooey of it. House, the only one. Well, he was close, but close is a relative term. He may have actually kicked that in and out of play. It's just gone off a hand, and it'll be a throw-in now. About 12 around from the behind post to Canberra's goal. Canberra going to what we called the scoring end after the first half of this game, but it has been bereft of scores so far. 15 gone. Canberra have not added to their half-time score.
Canberra needs to be careful with how they set up here. They don't want to be opened up if the students are able to win a quick clearance. It comes down to Maguire, a high ball. Riley Budd is tracking it back. Foster couldn't hold the mark. A great clash there between Foster and Budd. Budd kept going. He gave it back to Baker. Baker to Martin, just outside 50. Kicks with a centering ball. Harry Carr will stand tall. He can't take the mark. Paik steals it. Knocks a hand pass out. It comes forward. Kick is smothered by Paik. Goulden was there as well. Swan lays a tackle, gets the ball over the boundary line, and we'll get another stoppage inside 50 for Canberra. So the Demons just locking the ball in their forward line, getting a couple of back-to-back stoppages. And let's see what they can try and create from this boundary throw-in with Alex Paik going up in the ruck. He's up against Tom Banwellos this time, with Sam Tagliabue having a rest for the students. Paik tried to win it from the back. Powell went in hard. Chasing after it there was Robertson for Sydney Uni, who got the hand pass out. This is good forward pressure from the Canberra Demons. They've locked the ball inside 50 again, and will get a ball up on their half-forward line. The Demons trailing by 16 points, 16 minutes gone in the third quarter here at Blacktown. The Demons goalless so far in this third term. The Sydney Uni side with 3 goals so far for the quarter. As the umpire throws it up again, Paik and Banwellos. Budd managed to get a hand to it. It was intercepted by Veal. Veal's kick might end up with Andrew Swan. He just couldn't quite gather. Budd has been busy in this term. It does eventually come to Andrew Swan, who spots an open goal square and bounces it home. That's the goal the Demons needed, their first goal of this third quarter, and they're back within 10 points.
Much needed goal for the Canberra Demons. Much needed goal for Aaron Bruce too, just quietly. For Andrew Swan, rather. So many guys whose names begin with A. Much needed goal for Andrew Swan. Canberra, though.
Don Roberts just looks a little sore as he's come off the ground, favouring one leg as well. And we just see him perhaps approaching a trainer.
I saw him limping before, Eddie, and gee, that'll be a real tough ask for Canberra, because he's going for, it's almost...
the walking wounded at the moment.
He's grabbing at the outside of the left hip.
His first game since April, perhaps a bit of cramp, let's hope, but we'll see what happens with Don Roberts as he goes off the ground in what is his 50th NEAFL match.
I don't know about a cramp. It's right up high on the hamstring at the back, just below the glute, if you like. But at the moment, it's back in play, and the ball is taken by Tagliabue out from the middle, and he pops it off to a teammate. And once again, the Sydney Uni side, they go into attack. Ball falls at the hot spot for them, but taking the grab in there, I think that might be Baker, who's got another crack at it. It is. Oh, no, it's Highmore. Gee, they've been hard to pick apart in these white jerseys today. Canberra working their way up the middle of the ground quickly, and it goes to Powell. He's got Hardy calling for it, running into space. I don't know whether he's seen the lead. He hasn't. He goes over his head, puts it in towards the forward line. No one able to get to it. Picked up off the turf there by Reinhardt. He's been very good today. Turns around. He finds there Robertson. Robertson goes over to the far side of the ground where Veal has been. Another prolific possession getter for the Sydney University side. Takes his time, gets set, gives it across to Reinhardt again. I've liked this about Sydney today. Didn't work too well for them, didn't pay too many dividends for them in the first quarter, but I think it frustrated Canberra. This slow play out of their own end of the park. And they played a high possession game as Robertson sends the ball in towards centre half back for them. Too many Canberra jerseys there. It was Moline who got it. He turned around, gave it to Baker. Baker takes the shot on the fly, but just offline. Misses for a point. And so Sydney Uni stay on 8-4-52. Canberra will be 6-7-43. So that's a 9-point game. Canberra's still in this one, but they're 2 down, possibly 3 down. So it'll be 20 versus 23 by the three-quarter time siren by the sounds of things, Ed.
They're just working their way back into the contest at the moment, Canberra, with a controlling field position over the past couple of minutes. An important goal there to Andrew Swan. They would have loved that kick from Angus Baker to have gone through as well. At the moment, it's Sydney Uni leading by 9 points, 8-4-52, plays 6-7-43. We're approaching time on in the third quarter. The ball's thrown up again. Swan going up in ruck for Canberra that time. Veal gets a kick across the body for Sydney Uni. His kick comes to the wing. It ends up with Sam Martin, and another chance for the Demons to go forward. Martin just goes with a short kick for Maguire, who's been a little quieter in this third quarter. Mitch Maguire, he goes with another short kick that'll go just inside 50. Fall flew, he couldn't take the mark. The ball spills Canberra's way though. It comes out there to Bruce, or it might, it was Paik. Paik's kick to the top of the goal square. Pollock's tracking it back. Pollock keeps it in play. He's in the pocket. He's taken over the boundary line in a strong tackle.
That was a rugby league tackle, wasn't it, Eddie?
Yeah, Robertson and Sirakowski applying the pressure there. We get a boundary throw in, so another stoppage inside 50 for Canberra. They've got to try and do something with these stoppages. It's tough with Tagliabue in the ruck, but the crummers need to be there. Tagliabue and Swan. Tagliabue wins it down with 2 hands. It comes to Goulden. He's immediately tackled by Powell and Hardy, so we'll get another ball up. Inside 50 for Canberra. Swan and Tagliabue again. Tagliabue with 2 hands. I'm not sure Swan really went up that time, but he did well to effect a smother. Evans goes in hard. The umpire waits. The umpire will ball it up yet again. So the Demons just controlling the past few minutes, locking the ball inside their forward half, locking the ball inside their 50-metre arc. They need to try and put some of this dominance on the scoreboard as Powell with a quick kick out of the contest. Didn't have enough distance on it. Sydney Uni are going to play on quickly here. See if they can open the Demons up at the other end. The kick is to the wing. Ben Helse was in a good position. Vardaniger comes in to gather. Hands it back to Highmore. Highmore hands it to Helse, to Baker. Baker tried to tap it forwards, but it's intercepted by Goulden. Goulden's kick is meant for the debutant in Gilfetter. That's a great mark. Gilfetter goes inside 50. Riley Budd up against Hiscox. Budd did well. No, he didn't. He's given away a free kick.
It was all over the top of him was Riley Budd, and there aren't too many places that are worse to give away a free kick than this. The one at the top of the square, sometimes a player can get a little bit spooked by being so close to goal, but from this one, about 20 metres out directly in front, and Hiscox, well, he'll enjoy this.
After the ball had spent so much time inside the Canberra Demons forward line, Sydney Uni on the counter-attack. Get it inside 50, win a free kick. Jack Hiscox from directly in front. His right foot kick is a goal. Students back out by 15 points. We're in time on in the third quarter. Just been
keeping an eye on the Canberra Demons bench, Eddie, to see what's going on with the walking wounded down there. There's been no sign of Aaron Bruce returning to the ground. Maynard likewise. We haven't seen him come back out from the dressing rooms either. And Donald Roberts, who we saw go off with what we think is some sort of a hip injury or perhaps a high hamstring injury. They're working very hard on him. They've had him down on the massage table. They've been working very hard on him. He's jumped up, got on the exercise bike, had a bit of a go on there. But then as he got off, I saw just a little shake of the head as he got off. He's back on the table being worked on again. So the physio's confident that they can get him back out there. Roberts, his body language, and I don't even know it was a conscious shake of the head when he got off the bike, Eddie. He just looked a little bit dispirited there. Must be tough for him. Hasn't played in so long. Finally gets back, gets game 50 and then gets injured in the third quarter when the game's on the line. But the ball back in the middle of the ground and chasing after it is Smout. Puts a hand pass out into the path of a couple of players. Owen Orban will be the man who gets it. Good defensive support for him from Maguire. So Canberra, they can go into attack, but waiting at the back of the pack was Barton. Just set himself as he was going to ground. Put the arms up, took the grab. So now, once again, We've seen this from Sydney University a few times today. They set up 3 or 4 across a line in front of the goal. That time it was Foster onto Bartholomew's. Teammate waits for it, and now the ball's back in the middle of the ground, but it's been snatched. No, it hasn't. Mark's been taken or chopped on the arms, indeed, there. Was it Richardson who gave away the free? Stern has it. He's been good for Sydney University today as well. There's been a lot of them really building for a finals campaign for this Sydney University side, and they might get another goal here in just a moment. Oh, look at this. Left, right, left. It's not a marching order. It's a shot on goal for Morrison, but it's been touched on the way through. Well, it was looking for a rival for the goal of the day there. Couldn't quite convert it for the maximum.
He was vying with himself for goal of the day, Harry Morrison. Perhaps bit off a bit more than he could chew that time. And the Demons have worked the ball forward to the wing. Evans's kick was intended for Moline. It's been cut off by Cordell for Sydney Uni. Cordell's kick is marked strongly by Lewis Stevenson on centre wing. He goes into the middle of the ground, tries to open things up. That was a nice kick. It's been well marked there by Will Sierakowski, who just takes a bit of time, rolls onto the left boot, puts it inside 50. It was over Evans. Waiting at the back. Is that Morrison again?
He'll get
Umpire
a free kick
pays
here.
a free for a high tackle.
You know a side's doing well, Eddie, when it looks like they've got an extra man in space in more than one location on the ground, and it's starting to look that way for Sydney now. Canberra are really struggling to keep pace with this Sydney University side.
Harry Morrison from a tight angle. He's found himself on tight angles so far today, and he's elected to take on all manner of opponents and run into the open goal. This time, the set shot round the body. He's put that well across the face, over onto the hill, and out of bounds on the full. So no change to our score. It's Sydney Uni 9-5-59, leading the Canberra Demons 6-7-43.
25 minutes gone, third quarter. Canberra need to score again before the break. They are down on manpower. They're going to be running out of steam late in this one. They need to be within 10 points, you would imagine, or within 2 goals at least, to go into the final term. It's taken a bit of time to get the ball back in, and they have it now. It's Baker who has it. He could go to Highmore short, and does indeed elect to do that. They've got players again running into space. Evans is one of them. Instead, the ball, well, it's just kicked in more than hope than in space. It clean bowls a couple. It goes past the outstretched hand of Evans, picked up by Bartholomew, who can rebound this Sydney side back into attack. Canberra, it comes their way. A little bit of luck for the Demons, and they turn around. Now Evans calls for it. It's gone over his head. Comes off the hands of the 2 players going for it. Barton had the ball, lost the ball, gets grabbed. Ball will go back to him for a free kick. Right in front of us here on the centre wing at the grandstand side of Blacktown International Sportspark. Sydney Uni up by 16. You'd imagine another goal will make it just about a bridge too far for Canberra. As this Sydney Uni side, they're doing everything right, and luck's a fortune for them. Baker gets the mark in defence, though, for Canberra. Decides to switch play to the other side. He goes to Smout. Smout had in short there a man in, I think it was Vardaniga, went longer instead. Gave the ball to Bud. Bud finds a spot's a teammate, comes back to Smout. Smout could have gone short to Bud, elected not to. Switches play back to our side of the ground. Dangerous play. Lucky bounce for Canberra. Very lucky bounce for Canberra. Then the short pass to Swan. He's only got 2 or 3 men in front of him. He's just going to go for the long ball. He goes for it. Pake can't take the mark. It's spoiled. It's been tapped down to his advantage. He was asking for a free kick. Was Pake. Doesn't get it. Rolls over the boundary. Rolls over the line rather for a point. And we're down to a 15-point game. Sydney 59. Canberra 44. Uni will bring it back into play, and they do so very quickly, working it up the middle of the park. So that's a change in tack. Foster had it, gave it across. Goes a couple of passes and winds up with Veal. Veal comes back to Foster. Foster now to Reinhardt. Has another man in short in Cordell if he can use him. Elects to go the other way. Mark taken by Stewart. Stewart can come across to the grandstand side. Now there's Cordell. Now Cordell, he's got Barton ahead of him. He's spotted him. Barton's still in space. And still in space. Cordell says, I'm going to go long. Hoofs it down towards the left wing. And the only man who can take the mark is a Canberra player. And there's a bit of push and shove going on there. It's Baker who got the mark. He gave Monty Crockmall a bit of a knock in the process. Baker goes to Kel Evans, and Canberra, well, possession footy's not going to be the silliest thing they could do. It'll just take them a bit longer to get the ball up the ground. Instead, they go long. And the only man who can do anything about it is the biggest man on the ground in Sam Tagliabue for Sydney Uni.
Tagliabue flicks the hand pass back. It'll end up with Reinhard. Reinhard goes back inside defensive 50 to Hiscox. Hiscox has a Veal on short. That's where he goes. He gives it back to Hiscox, who kicks into the middle of the ground, and it lands straight in the hands of Jordan Harper for Canberra. Harper turns onto the right foot and sees Reece Pollock on his own in the forward pocket.
Well, we'll find out how good a shot Pollock is. Mentioned before, Eddie, they'd like to be within 2 goals at the final change. If you can get the major here, they will be. Not just within 2 goals, they'll be within single-digit range.
Reece Pollock normally bobs up and kicks a goal in most games that he plays. A slow and steady approach. His right foot drop punt didn't make the goal umpire move. Pollock gets the goal. The margin is back to 9, and the Demons stay in touch. We've gone more than 29 minutes in the third quarter.
Sydney Uni have scored 4 goals 2 this quarter. Canberra 2 goals 2. But it's a 9-point ball game. And in close footy games, anything can happen. Goulden comes back on for Sydney Uni. He's had a well-earned well-earned break, I should say. Comes back on. And Sydney Uni, well, they're starting to ring the changes all over the place. Will Sierakowski comes back on. They've got Ben Wellos and also Michael Carroll waiting to return to the fray. And
Don Roberts back on the ground, Chris, on the wing.
Well, we'll keep an eye on him. He was it was his left hip or very high on his left hamstring that he was clutching at and limping before, so we'll keep an eye on him, but he is just back on the ground. See what he's got. Canberra win the tap down courtesy of Pake. It goes into the path of Smout. Smout's got plenty of attention but does manage to tap the ball away, and it comes back to Pake. Pake, a dangerous man in space. He gives it to another dangerous man in space in Hardy. He turns around and he spots a player in Harry Carr. Carr hardly been sighted this quarter. Puts the ball into the forward line for Canberra. That's a good grab. Grab taken by Harper. Now, did he take the grab in the square, out of the square? Won't matter. He's going to be able to take this shot from right in front of the goals here because he's been given some unnecessary facial attention.
No, I don't think he's paid a 50 here.
He hasn't paid the 50.
No.
Well, I'm kind of staggered here, Eddie, because he certainly got pushed and knocked over after he'd taken the mark.
Look, it shouldn't make a difference. He should finish off from here. Excellent body work from Tom Fall to take the defenders out there and allow Jordan Harper this mark and this shot on goal.
Well, Harper's got 1 in the first, 1 in the second, make it 1 in the third for his 3 goals for the day. And 3 is certainly the number as we're back to a 3-point ball game. 31 minutes gone in the third term. Sydney Uni 9-5-59. The Canberra Demons showing plenty of fight. They know their season's on the line. They're hanging on like a man on the edge of the cliff. They've got the fingernails embedded in the dirt and they're 3 points down, 8-8-56.
You mentioned when Alex Pake moved into the ruck that we would see some other structural changes, and the one that we've seen, I guess, is Jordan Harper, who normally plays more of his footy in the midfield, spending most of his time up forward today, and he's been the key goal kicker for the Canberra side with 3 goals. So that's been a good move by Cade Klemke. And Jordan Harper, surprisingly, has been the focal point for the Demons up forward today.
Canberra with 6 goal scorers today. Sydney Uni with 7. And if you can do your maths very quickly, you'll work out that if Jordan Harper's kicked 3, then everyone else for Canberra who's scored has only scored 1. 8-8-56. They trail. Sydney Uni 9-5-59. And the clock reaching 32 minutes here. Can't be too much left in this quarter. And again, the ruck down goes Canberra's way, but this time there are Sydney players at the fall of the ball, and they're looking to make the most of it as they burst around the outside of the ground. And it's Will Sierakowski sends the ball in towards the hot spot for them. A good mark taken in defence by Highmore. He goes via left foot over to the far side of the ground where Evans is waiting. Canberra need the fast break here if they're hoping to score, because they really must be in the very last vestiges of the last of the third term. Who's that for Canberra this time?
Harper
that was Harper again. He's been a very busy man in this term. Baker sends it over to the far side of the ground. I reckon that might be Smout way over there in front of the NAB sign. He goes via left foot as it goes to Evans, but Evans, well, if he's optimistic, he'll take a shot from there, but he's 95 from goal, so I think we'll just call it 3-quarter time at this point with the Sydney Uni side leading by 3. Anyone's game here. The home side will be the favourites, but Canberra, well, they've still got a sniff. Sydney 9-5-59. Sydney Uni 9-5-59. The Canberra Demons 8-8-56. 1 quarter to go here at Blacktown.
playing surface here, same size as the NCG. Slightly smaller than that.
May not look it, but it's a very big ground here at Blacktown, the International Sportspark. The playing surface, Eddie, I don't think it was an intentional move by the AFL when this ground was developed. It is the same size playing surface as the Melbourne Cricket Ground, so plenty of spaces out there. And Canberra, who play some of their home games at Manuka, which is a bigger playing surface than the MCG, they're used to playing on these big grounds, but again, when you start to get an impact on your rotations due to injuries, playing on a big ground, it does add an extra level of fatigue to your performance. But Canberra, they're doing well at the moment to hang on. They are 3 points down from Sydney Uni.
Yeah, they've got a big mountain to climb here, the Canberra Demons. Josh Maynard, their ruckman, went off in the first quarter. Aaron Bruce has gone off injured with what appeared to be an arm issue. Don Roberts came off as well. He's back on the field, though. He's going to start this final quarter on the ground, so that's a good sign for the Demons, but they are down a couple of rotations. They're missing their key ruckman, but they are within 3 points. They've fought back well in this match so far. Jordan Harper with 3 goals for the Demons. Alex Pake, Andrew Swan, Harry Carr, Reece Pollock and Lucas Moline have singles. For the Students, it's Harry Morrison and Tristan Davies with 2 goals each. Singles to Hiscox, Bartholomew's, Foster, Stern and Stevenson. A big quarter of footy coming up in the context of this NEAFL season. 6th v 7th. The Students are in 6th. They've got a game in hand, so this is a crucial match for the Canberra Demons. A loss today pretty much ends their finals hopes this season.
Well, you would think so, because next week the Sydney Uni side, of course, they travel to Darwin and they play against the NT Thunder, who've had a pretty tough 2019. Wins have been few and far between for that Thunder side, although they'd love nothing better than to spring an upset next week.
And they remarkably, after losing to Canberra by something like 144 points, came out last weekend and beat Redland. They did get a number of players back, so you never know what can happen in the NEAFL. It was a draw last time these two sides played. Who knows what will happen over the next 30 minutes. We're back in the middle. Tagliabue and Pake, they probably both got hands to that one. The Demons going to the right of screen in this final quarter. The Demons going to the left of screen. Sydney Uni going to the right of screen in this final term as the umpire throws it up. Tagliabue slapped it down. It comes out towards Martin. He leads the race to the footy, gathers, hands it to Bud. Bud was under a bit of pressure. Bud's coughed it up. Hiscox wins the ball. He goes towards half forward. Vardaniga was worried out of it. The ball's gathered by Monty Crockmull, who sees the open goal square. And Monty Crockmull, in his 200th club game, kicks the opening goal of the final quarter.
Oh, happy 200th Monty. Was never in any doubt off the boot. He'd aimed it straight at the goal umpire and gets it through. And that's what the Sydney Uni side will want. They're back to a 9-point margin, 10-5-65 to Canberra, 8-8-56, and it only took about 45 seconds for them to get the first goal of this final term.
It was a Monty for Monty.
It was indeed. The full Monty? Perhaps that'll be later. The ball coming back into the middle of the park in Canberra. They need to reply. You mentioned how that Don Robertson, we were talking about him earlier, how he has some sort of an injury. You mentioned that he's back on the field. He has started this final term on the
outer wing.
He's on the outer wing. I've seen him a couple of times standing with the feet just a little bit further apart than the shoulder and really leaning forward, stretching out. So there's something not quite right with him. Ball back in play, and it's Stevenson who sends the Sydney Uni side back into attack again. Dangerous signs here for them. If they can get another couple of goals here, they'll be able to put the queue in the rack somewhat. It was Morrison who was worrying about the ball. Couldn't get there, but it falls to Cole. Cole sends it back in towards the top of the square. Plenty of hands around. Most of them from Canberra. The ball goes onto the ground. The Uni side trying to pick it up and get it through, but it's over for a point. And that'll take it out to a 10-point margin now. Sydney 10-6, or Sydney Uni 10-6-66. Canberra Demons 8-8-56. And Canberra, well, they've got the ball now. They need to keep the possession. They can't afford any silly turnovers, and so they work it around the far side of the ground, waiting and waiting and waiting. And that may have been Roberts who had it, and he's certainly not running at full speed, but he's providing support on the outside for his teammate who's put the ball into attack. Target was a Swan, but it was cut off once again, and it's coming back now. Goulden gets involved in the play, going for a bit of a run the Sydney Uni side, and again they've got players in space. If he can hang on to it, Monty, he'll be able to get himself back into into the goal-scoring books. Instead, he palms it off, gives it to Cole. Cole, he finds Goulden. Goulden gives it to a teammate in Stewart. Stewart, oh, has he got a goal from 50? He has. Not a bad-looking shot. Inch perfect, lands about 2 feet over the goal line. And now, well, the floodgates may be about to open.
Well, all the momentum with Sydney Uni, all of a sudden, they've just taken the sting out of the tail of the Canberra Demons a little, perhaps. Obviously have come out firing in the final quarter. 2 goals in the opening 2 minutes and 50 seconds, and suddenly the lead is 16 points. It's not insurmountable, but it's a tough ask now for the Demons, and it's all starting in the middle. Sam Tagliabue winning those easy hit-outs, and the Demons just struggling to get the clearance. And with this 6-6-6, it really opens it up. If Tagliabue can knock the ball forward to one of his rovers who can run on, slam the ball inside 50, and it makes it very difficult for the Demons to defend. It's interesting that Riley Budd, one of their key defenders, is still playing on the wing here for Canberra. They're trying a few different things, some of them forced by injuries, others perhaps are experiments that perhaps they were planning to make anyway. Perhaps they've been working on them over the past couple of weeks. They'll win a centre clearance here at Canberra. Maguire's kick bounces on the way through to Evans. Evans feeds it back to Harper. Harper to Maguire. Maguire kicks it to Budd, who takes the mark on the chest. Riley Budd looking to get onto his right foot. Goes along with a kick inside 50. It's in the direction of Tom Fall, and Tom Fall juggles the mark.
Well, he's a man with a sense of the occasion and a love of the spectacular. Won't be anything fancy about this, but he will go back and take the set shot. There'll be no palming this one off.
And there won't be it won't be a long build-up. He's not Ben Brown when it comes to taking a set shot on goal, Tom Fall, although perhaps he's just extended his goal-kicking routine a little since we last saw him. He kicked 5 goals at this ground in a losing performance when the Demons came here about this time last year. He needs to kick this one to keep the Canberra Demons in this contest. Tom Fall starting his approach. He'll go with a left foot drop punt. He started it out to the right and he brought it back perfectly. Tom Fall gets on the scoreboard and the Demons are back within 10.
Well, they're not done yet, the Demons. They know what it means today. And this is what the fans come for. This is what the players play for. When the season is on the line, you know it's going to be hard footy. And a 10-point ball game here. 5 minutes gone in the last quarter.
He'd only had about 2 or 3 disposals coming into this quarter, Tom Fall, so important he stepped up there. And is it just me? We didn't run the stopwatch, but last time we saw Tom Fall against the NT Thunder,
he rushed a few.
He rushed his shots at goal. He took the mark, he went back, and if you blinked, you would have missed it, and he was spraying them. He just took a bit more time there, a better goal-kicking routine from Tom Fall, and a better result.
Canberra, I think, were on the race for 200 last week.
Yes, they were in a rush.
Ago, so
yes.
That may be somewhat of an excuse. This time, though, oh, look at this. Untouched from the bounce is Bartholomew. Sends the ball into the forward line. Davies has it, loses it, puts it down. Picked up by Baker. His hand pass is astray. It's taken by Stevenson. Stevenson sends the ball goalward, and it takes a left turn at Albuquerque, and it goes through for a point for the Sydney University side. So the margin will be out to 11 points. What odds a draw again today, Eddie? I'll just throw that out for you at the moment.
You said you'd never called a draw, Chris, until you called that one we called last time.
I had never called a draw. Wouldn't mind getting him a second one, although I don't know if there's going to be much help for the visiting side. They've turned it over. They've turned it over in pretty quick fashion here. That wasn't the greatest of clearing kicks.
And Veal's been good today for Sydney Uni. He's coming up for disposal number 13, and he's had an impact on this match.
Well, he's going to have a shot here. There's a smart footy from Sydney Uni. They know that if they take the set shots, the clock will continue to run. And Veal, as he said to the umpire, I'm taking the set shot. He's kicked it from on the 50. He's done it round the corner style. He's put it through, post high from round the corner from on the 50 on an angle. Not a bad goal for a set shot. And it's back to a 16-point game.
It probably wasn't a great effort from Canberra on the mark. He played on and improved the angle, and the man on the mark just not quite quick enough to cut off that angle slightly. And an excellent finish from Jake Veal. That lead back out to 17 points, and the students will be pretty happy to keep the Demons just at arm's length for the rest of this match. Well,
it's still within 3 goals, but it's starting to look like a very high mountain. Maybe not Everest. What's the next one down the chain? K2? Yeah, that may well be what the Canberra Demons are facing at the moment. As the ball back in the middle of the ground here. Canberra, they're running their changes as best they can, but they are several down on the bench. Ball tossed high. And Canberra come away with it now. What have they got? Who's up forward for them? Waiting in there. Harper was one of the players. Pollock was the other one. Pollock gets it, goes around, gives a little hand pass on to Owen Orban. He turns left and right. May well run too far without going too far forward. In fact, goes backwards. Pollock was the man he tried to offload it to. Pollock instead has to lay the tackle. He's assisted in there by Swan. And they wrap up Gilfetta. Umpire to ball it up just outside the centre square. Goes probably the best of it to Sydney in the end after it bounces around pinball style. Taken away by Foster. No, it's not. Foster is grabbed in there. Coming in was Sierakowski. Will Sierakowski. Can't do anything with it. It comes free from Baker onto Budd. Budd sends the ball into attack now. Owen Orban in there, as is Tom Fall. Fall can't control it. It's a little bit of help from a Sydney teammate, from a Sydney opposition player rather. That was Robertson, and there's a little bit of push and shove going on in there. Ball over the boundary line, throwing to take place. 70 around from the Canberra Demons goal. They need to score next. Although we have seen some very long quarters across the course of the day. Tagliabue gets the best of it, and running through at great speed for Sydney there was Stevenson. Sends the ball up forward. Waiting for it was Foster. He got it there. High ball. Only just goes 15. Baker gets it so he can turn this side around. Gives it to Highmore now. Highmore then finds Martin. Martin looks a little bit lost out there as some pressure is on him. Here's a call from a teammate. I think the call may have actually come from Evans, but it was read better by Maguire. Maguire's kick then looking for Reece Pollock in attack. Pollock can't control it. It's punched away from him by Barkley and out of bounds for a throw-in.
So we'll get a boundary throw-in. It was good body work there from Cal Evans to allow Maguire to take the mark, but Maguire's kick not able to find a target. We'll get a throw-in just outside 50 for Canberra. Swan and Tagliabue in ruck. Two experienced campaigners, although Swan perhaps not that experienced when it comes to the ruck duties. The kick bounces past Vardaniga, and another opportunity for Sydney Uni through Bartholomew's. His kick goes through Davies' fingers. Hels is chasing it back. He does well, Ben Hels, in game number 100. Gives it off to Martin. Martin, a little bit indecisive, goes with the kick inside 50, but it's been cut off. It was Ned Reinhard there taking the mark for Sydney Uni. He can put the ball in a bit of space for Veal. Veal goes over the top to Robertson. Robertson goes quickly by hand. They're moving the footy quickly on that outer side here, Sydney Uni. It's now kicked to Tristan Davies, who juggles the mark in front of Hels. He's quick to play on. He gives the hand pass off to Hiscox. Hiscox with a long ball to the goal square and through for a behind.
18 points the difference. Sydney Uni 12-8-80. Canberra Demons 9-8-62. And it's breaking down for Canberra when it gets to their forward line now. They're just not able to penetrate this defence. Thus far this quarter, they've only added the one goal. Sydney have added 3. Canberra send the ball up the middle of the park. That's truly bizarre. Bailey Stewart takes a mark unopposed. It'll be the easiest one he takes all day. And then in an equally bizarre piece of play, he puts it straight onto the chest of Sam Martin. So are we in Blacktown or Bizarro land? I'm not sure. Stewart was eventually getting there, taps it around into the path of a teammate. Slung around. Where's the holding the ball call? Nope, there isn't one. Ball still in play. Ball goes out of... Oh no, still in play over there on the far side of the ground. Thought it was going to go over. Canberra, they might wind up with it again. Well, no one's really able to get any clean possession at the moment. Sydney Uni will wind up with it on this side of the ground by the looks of things. There's no one for the hand pass here. It was Bartholomew was looking for someone. Eventually he finds Hiscox. Hiscox puts the ball into towards centre half forward. Player not worried out under it. Canberra have got it. Ball's been touched on the boot or not 15, one or the other. Maguire has it, slung off it. Swan comes in to offer some support, but once again, it's with the Sydney Uni side. They drop the pill. Picked up there in the end by Cole. Cole goes backwards. He finds there Will Sierakowski. Goes across to the far side of the ground. I think it might be Stewart again. They've been busy across the middle of the ground to the Sydney Uni side, and they put it just up to their forward 50. And it'll be a shot on goal, you would imagine, in there.
Veal
and
again.
It'll be Veal who takes it. Now he's jagged one from on the 50 before. This shot will come from just outside 50, but Eddie, he put that one through post high when he kicked it from right on 50, so he's certainly within his range.
And they're paying close attention on the mark here. You'll see Jack Powell and Mitch Hardy guarding the mark, making sure that Jake Veal can't run around and open up that angle too much. So we will try.
He runs around, kicks from 55. It sits up high and high and high, but it's been touched for mine just before the line. Wait for it. Umpires confer.
They can't send it upstairs. I think it's going to be called a goal.
And now the boundary umpire comes in, and the other boundary umpire comes in. Here we go.
Having a bit of a conference.
Now, what happens here if you get two umpires say yes, two umpires say no? Well, in the end, the decision is made that it was touched and goes through. Important point, you could say, though, Eddie, because it takes the Sydney Uni side out to a 19-point lead. 3 goals, 1 is the difference. In Canberra, they know they've got to play on quickly, and they do so. Going forward to Riley Budd. Budd can't get a handle on it. It goes to Reinhardt. He's been one of the best for Sydney today. Dragged off the ball. Now it's with Smout for Canberra. He goes on his outside. Budd has it, keeps it in play. Wobbly old boot off the right foot, and it winds up on the chest of Will Sierakowski. He turns around, sends the ball back into the middle of the ground where Barkley has it, and goes across the far side of the ground where it's taken by Veal.
So Veal has the mark, and it was a good point, Chris. What if two thought it was a goal and two thought it was behind? I think it's whoever feels they had the best view of it or is the most certain, or if they can't figure it out, they give it the lesser. So anyway, whatever it was, we ended up with a rushed behind, and we end up with Sydney Uni leading by 19 points, more than 13 minutes played. They've got the ball on the outer side, and they'll be happy to just soak up a little bit of time. Not so happy to put the ball out of bounds on the full, because it'll end up with Mitch Hardy taking the free kick here for the Demons. No? The umpire says Ben Helse was the closest man to the ball, and he will take the free. He goes inboard to Budd, who takes the mark. Evans is calling for it on the broadcast side. Budd goes shorter than that. Martin takes the mark. A slower, steadier approach here from the Demons. Martin's kick finds Jordan Harper. Harper goes with another short kick. This is clever movement from the Demons. Powell marks. He plays on a bit more quickly. Hardy will go with the kick inside 50 to Swan. Swan couldn't hold on. We had a boundary throw in inside 50 for the Demons. They need to try and do something from this stoppage. Time is running out. We're probably about midway through the final quarter. 14 and a quarter minutes gone. Sydney Uni 81. The Canberra Demons 62 as the ball is ready to be thrown back into play. It's Swan and Tagliabue. Swan did well to contest there. Knocked it down. It's hacked towards the goals. It's offline. It's a behind to Canberra. Perhaps that's a handy point. The margin is now 3 straight kicks.
Well, it is indeed. Sydney Uni will be in no hurry to restart play. Goulden eventually comes in to do so. Calling for it short was Veal. I think, however, it'll be going the other way. It does. Stewart takes it in short. Veal wants it again. Keeps calling for it and calling for it. He might wind up with it yet, you know. Foster has it. Who's calling for it short? Veal. Mind you, the ball's still inside their defensive 50. That's hardly surprising. Foster goes for a longer ball now around the wing on the far side of the ground. And Canberra have come up with it here. Tom Fall sends them into attack. It bounces kindly for... No, it doesn't. I was going to say it bounces kindly for the Demons, but it doesn't. It bounces over the boundary line. Throw in to take place. 10 around from the Canberra goals. They need to score off this. They need it to be a major. They're 3 big scores behind. 14 and a half, or 15 and a half gone, I should say, in the final term. Tagliabue gets front position, punches it towards the boundary line, and it rolls back over. It'll be another throw-in to take place. This time maybe 11 metres around from the Canberra goal. Action replay. I'll hand it over to Eddie Williams.
So we'll get another boundary throw-in. They've got to try and create something from these stoppages, but Tagliabue's just been too good in the ruck up against opposition who are not permanent ruckmen. Tagliabue won it down with 2 hands yet again. It's bobbling around. The Demons have the numbers, but they've given up a free kick for a hold. So it'll be Sydney Uni's ball. It'll be Veal to take it. He's been excellent in this second half for the Students. Veal's called to play on. He's in the back pocket. He goes with a long ball. Demons have the numbers at this contest, and Helse takes a comfortable mark on the chest. It's a very crowded forward line that confronts Ben Helse. He goes with a mid-range kick, a centimetre perfect kick, and Alex Smout will get a shot on goal.
Well, he's got a good chance to get his side back within 2 straight kicks. This Canberra side putting players into makeshift roles, but Smout, he's used to this. He's kicked plenty over his time, and he'll be on about he's on a very acute angle, kicking from about 30 out.
He's been one of their best players this season, Alex Smout. A little quieter today. His left foot kick looks pretty good. It looks like a goal. And the Demons are still in this. They're back within 2 straight kicks.
12 points the difference. Have they got enough in the tank? I can tell you what they do have. They do have one of their best players who's going to be coming back on fresh. He's had a rest, has Maguire. And who's he replacing? I think it might be Harper who's coming off. So Maguire comes on, and for the Canberra side, this may be the last roll of the dice. They need the next goal now. I know I said that before the last one, but that was true.
They probably need the next 2 or 3 or 4, Chris.
Well, they need 2 goals, 1. And they need to shut down Sydney Uni. That's what they need.
Students probably just need another score at this point, don't they?
I'm going to take a stab, Eddie, that you never played in the ruck at all, have you?
You'd be surprised, Chris. I have, actually.
You have played in the ruck?
Yeah.
Okay. But I played in the ruck.
I'm about 5'7".
You're not exactly tall. We'll come back to that in a moment, as I do have a point to make about this, and I'll get to it shortly. As tackled with the ball is Maguire. He loses it. It's picked up off the ground by Crockmore. Crockmore loses it for Sydney University. Fall tries to put his side into attack, but it's cut off there for Sydney by Reinhardt. He's been a rock in defence today. He knows that taking his time is a good thing to do, and he does. And then his kick, well, could have been better directed. Vardaninger takes it, has a couple of players in short, goes to a slightly more risky option in Evans. He's done well. I don't know how that's not a throw. It's a hand pass, says the umpire. It's been put into the forward line, and who's that coming in to cut it off? It was Hardy who's come in to cut off a pass that was probably better for Paik, and now Sydney Uni have picked it up through Hiscox. He sends it around to the grandstand wing. Banuelos underneath it, takes a firm grab. He's got a man calling for it in the middle of the ground, and he gives it to him, and it comes back on the outside now to Davies. Davies has it. It was a good little pass to him from Reinhardt. Davies drops back, puts a little chip shot over the top, finds Morris, and he's been one of the players of the day for the Sydney Uni. He sends the ball into the forward line, and this may be about time to drop the sledgehammer, because the Sydney University, they've got a mark through Goulden. He's been very busy in defence. He's had plenty in the middle of the ground. Haven't seen him up at full forward too often today, but he's up there now, and he'll have a shot for his first.
Well, they moved that so well from one end to the other, and you were right. Alex Paik was in a position to take a mark. Bit of miscommunication. Hardy ended up spoiling him. The ball's been moved up the other end, and it'll be Adam Goulden, who spent 5 seasons with South Adelaide in the Sandful, to kick for goal.
Comes around the corner. It's an awkward-looking kick, but he puts it through. And it's back to that 3-goal margin, and you think that at this point, Eddie, we may just be seeing the last vestiges of life of the Canberra Demons season here. It'll be mathematically possible for them to make the finals, but it'll be very, very difficult after today if they don't get up.
Yeah, look, from here on in this match, the Demons have to do absolutely everything right. Everything has to go their way over the next 10 to 15 minutes. It's certainly not impossible. We've just ticked into time on. The margin is 3 straight kicks. We know about the 3-goal theory. You can probably kick 3 in a minute if you had a real run on, so it's not impossible, but it's very, very challenging, and a loss today really means the Demons are relying on Redland or the NT Thunder to cause an upset against this Sydney Uni team, and that's looking pretty unlikely the way we've seen Sydney Uni play today.
No, indeed. What I was going to say before about the ruck,
yes.
When you're a player and you're not used to necessarily playing in the ruck, it takes a toll on different parts of your body. I know that because the last competitive game I played, I wound up playing 3/4 of it in the ruck, having not played there for about 15 years prior to that, and let me tell you, I was incredibly sore for days afterwards. Canberra go into attack via Evans in towards the hotspot. That's a good grab.
Powell.
That's a good grab for Powell. He just set himself. There were players all around him. Put his body on the line. Probably be about 5 metres out than he'd like, 5 metres further out than he'd like to be. But he's directly in front. And what's he got? Well, the chance to bring it back to 2 goals. Get another one in a hurry. And who knows, the pressure might start to tell on the home side, who've been doing it fairly easy for the last 45 minutes or so. Kicks from 45 directly in front. The goal umpire takes a couple of steps to the left, but no problem. Jack Powell gets his first. He keeps his side alive and takes the margin back to a 12-point break here at Blacktown International Sportspark. Sydney Uni 13-9, Canberra Demons 11-9. 22 gone in the final term.
And the 9th individual goal kicker for the Canberra Demons. These two teams are so even. They're very evenly spread. They've been so evenly matched this season. 2 wins to the Canberra Demons, a draw last time they met. Sydney Uni just with the edge today, but we've seen those injuries to the Canberra team. And in that drawn match, Chris, you remember Canberra had a whole host of late omissions. Some of their best players, the likes of Maguire, Baker, I think Bruce and Budd also didn't play that day. So,
well, we didn't get the pre-game team sheet until right on the pre-game deadline.
Because it just wasn't clear whether those players were going to come up and be fit. Today, the Demons up against it again. They've given a good account of themselves, but an honourable loss is not what they're after. They need a victory today, the Canberra team. They're within 2 goals. And they've got the ball. It's a high kick towards Tagliabue and Paik just out-muscled by Sam Tagliabue, who gives the hand pass off. Bit of a fumble there by Goulden, a rare fumble by him today. His kick inside 50 nearly ended up with Davies. It bounced off him. Stern hands it to Stewart. Stewart under a lot of pressure. The Demons defence working overtime here. It comes to Hardy. Hardy with a good kick that finds Alex Smout against the boundary line. He's lifted in this final quarter, Smout. He finds Mitch Maguire. They're two of the keys for the Canberra Demons. Maguire gives it to his housemate, Mitch Hardy. That wasn't the best option. He was dispossessed immediately. Now things open up for Sydney Uni. Who can they find inside 50? The Demons have the numbers up against Monty Crockmull, and floating in to take yet another easy mark there was Angus Baker, who gives it off quickly to Richardson. Richardson to Smout, who marks at centre-half back. Kicks into the corridor to Carr. Carr's got Martin running alongside him. That's where he goes, and Martin can go for a dash. He kicks inside 50 to a one-on-one. Harper can't take the mark. Can he recover? Can he get boot to ball? He picks it up. He's tackled. He's dispossessed. The umpire says play on. It's socket away. Mitch Maguire's trying to get to the footy. He was second there. He lays a big tackle. We've seen big tackles laid directly in front of goals late in games, and it's a tough decision for the umpire to make there. He says there was no prior opportunity, so we get a ball up. Another crucial stoppage here for Canberra. It's knocked forward. Difficult to win a clean possession here. It might spill out. Umpire will ball it up directly in front from the Canberra goal. Only 30 metres out, 24 minutes gone. They trail by 12 points as it's thrown up. Tagliabue takes it out of the ruck and just kicks it out of the area. It might come back though. Baker was there. Highmore as well. We'll get a ball up, and Sydney Uni doing well to get the ball out of a dangerous position.
24 and a half gone here. Was that the last chance Canberra had? We'll see how it goes. Ball back in the middle. Paik gets the hand on it this time. Does well in the ruck. Now Canberra, they bring it across to the near side of the ground. Martin has it, runs through the full 360. Pops it back, pulled to the ground after he kicked it with Smout. No free downfield. Strong mark taken. Might be just a little bit too far out for Swan to score. Although he has a prodigious boot on him. He's going to go for goal, isn't he, Ed?
Look, we saw him kick an extraordinary goal in that match that was drawn between these two sides from the intersection of the 50 and the boundary line late in the match. Who knows what he's got here?
55 out. He just roosts it. It's online. It's online. It drifts to the left. He had no problem with the range. That's gone through 3/4 of the way up the post, but it's gone to the side. It's an 11-point margin. Sydney Uni need to do everything right here. They can't afford a turnover, and they give it to one of their most reliable players for the day in Veal. Veal to another of their most reliable players. That's Barkley over the far side, and now they're working it up halfway up the ground. But is there a turnover in prospect? There is. Canberra, they're going to be able to get away with it here, are they? No, it goes over the boundary line. Throw in to take place. Centre wing, opposite side of the ground. 11 points the margin, 25 and a half gone. Sydney Uni in front.
We get a boundary throw in. Canberra just clinging on in this match, as they've done all afternoon since Maynard went off way back in the first quarter. The Demons started pretty well. They were up by 15 points at quarter time. It's been tough for them since then, but as we say, they're clinging on. They're trying to stop Sydney Uni from getting a clean break here. The ball is over the boundary line, and we'll get a boundary throw in front of that Blacktown City Council sign. The ball between wing and half forward for Sydney Uni. Another score for the students will make life very, very, very difficult for the Canberra Demons. Alex Paik going up in ruck against Sam Tagliabue. He's toiled hard today, Paik. It's thrown back in, knocked down by Tagliabue. Maguire sharked it, but he was immediately tackled by Bartholomew, so we'll get a ball up. Sydney Uni pretty happy to just see stoppage after stoppage in the dying minutes of this match. It's thrown up again. Tagliabue knocked it down to Will Sirakowski, but he couldn't hold on to it, and that lets the Demons in. Here's Alex Smout. He goes with a kick into the middle of the ground. Will it come off? It might. It bounces towards Martin. It just evades him, but Helf's got a good hand in. Knocked it to Baker. Baker kicks forward. It's a bit speculative. There are players running from everywhere to meet it. Andrew Swan took it. Tried to give it to Pollock. In the end, Harry Carr took it. Broke free. Shrugged the tackle. Hand Line pass is picked up by Swan, who's tackled to the ground. The umpire waits. The umpire will ball it up inside 50 again for the Canberra Demons.
We've talked about how Maynard's been off for a considerable period of this game. Let's not forget also Canberra losing Aaron Bruce a considerable time ago with an arm injury. We haven't cited him since then. So to lose two key players like that and still be at this close this late in the game, if they can get a goal here, well, they might just steal the most famous of victories here for the Canberra side. Another ball up, 40 metres out. Swan goes into the ruck, gets the punch down, and then dragged away from the ball was Carr. Umpire says play on. He's asked for a free kick. None forthcoming. Be another ball up, this time 30 out from the Canberra goal. 27 and a half gone, 11 points the difference. Swan into the ruck, up against Tagliabue. Tagliabue punches it behind him. Chasing over the top of it was Smout. Couldn't get a hang on the ball. Goes back into the pack. Plenty of contest for it. Hardy comes through. Kick is smothered. Play on, says the umpire, as he should. Fall tries to execute the kick. Hardy with another smother. Now goes to Fall. His kick is off hands. Punched in towards the goal. It'll bounce and be rushed through for a point. 10-point ball game. 28 gone.
Quite remarkably, Canberra is winning the hit-out statistic today, 49-42. So you've got to give a lot of credit to Alex Paik. You've got to give a lot of credit to Alex Paik with 22 hit-outs today. An excellent job he's done up against Tagliabue.
Well, he'll be feeling it for the next few days. The Sydney Uni side, they have the ball. They're in no hurry to do anything here. I don't know whether shutting the game down is the right thing to do. You're only less than 2 goals out, and it's the Canberra side who've got it once again now. They'll be bringing it back through the middle of the park. They do so with Maguire. He's all class, that man. He looks for a target. The target was originally Pollock. He couldn't get it, but it goes continuing further forward for them. Underneath it was Swan. Came off his hand. Sydney Uni rebound. Who's waiting for it? Sitting underneath it, couple of players, but a good spoil in there by Vardaniga. Will it be a game-saving spoil? No. Well, it goes down towards Stern. Stern finds Bartholomew's. He then goes on to Morrison. Morrison puts his side deep into attack. He gives it to Davies. Probably the most reliable forward option for Sydney Uni, and he will take every second that he is allowed to take this shot from about a 5-degree angle, 40 out.
You're exactly right, Chris. Tristan Davies here just needs to use all of his 30 seconds, go back. Ideally, he'll kick what will be his third goal of the game, but at the very least, soak up some time on the clock and just take this match further and further away from the Canberra Demons.
Gee, tough afternoon for the visiting side. But let's not forget this Sydney Uni side. They've been challenged, and they've come up with the goods. Davies from about 45 out hits the woodwork. And the game's not cooked yet, but it's not far off it. It's an 11-point margin. Sydney Uni 13-10-88. The Canberra Demons 11-11-77. That'll be a free. That'll be a free. Will it be Owen Orban to take it? It will. They've got to go quickly here, Canberra. They've got to go up the guts. Richardson has it. He does precisely that. He gives it to Powell, but the siren sounds. And a truly remarkable day of footy comes to a close here at Blacktown. Sydney Uni wind up victorious 13-10-88. A valiant Canberra Demons side 11-11-77. Well, they're not out of the finals race, Eddie, but it will be a remarkable charge if they can make it through. Meanwhile, Sydney Uni, I think they can start setting themselves for at least one extra week of footy in this 2019 NEAFL competition.
Oh, absolutely. And you can tell that by the body language of the players, Chris. They're out on their feet here. You can see the likes of Baker, Highmore, Paik. They look pretty devastated by this result this afternoon. The Canberra Demons season really hanging by a thread now. They need all sorts of other results to go their way, and it looks like Sydney Uni will be marching into the finals, and they take some momentum. An upset win over Southport last week, a win over the Canberra Demons this week. They hadn't beaten the Demons for about a year. They'd played 3 losses and then a draw against Canberra, so an important win here for Sydney Uni. And they've added 14 players this season, 14 debutants. We saw Sam Gilfedder today, who added a bit in their forward line. He was thereabouts, not a lot of stats, but a lot of pressure around the ball. What a win in his first game of NEAFL footy, and a great win for Monty Crockmull, who kicked 1 goal in his 200th club game for Sydney Uni. They were just too strong. As we say, if Maynard and Bruce had stayed on the field all game, would the result have been different? We may never know. Paik going into the ruck actually managed to do pretty well in the hit-outs. But very tough against Sam Tagliabue, and it's the effectiveness of your hit out. And Sam Tagliabue is so often able to go up almost uncontested, take it out of the ruck, knock it down with two hands, get some quick breaks out of the centre, and that made it hard for the Canberra Demons defence. 13-10-88 Sydney Uni, Canberra 11-11-77. For Sydney Uni, 2 goals to Tristan Davies. He missed that one late. 2 goals to Harry Morrison, singles to Hiscox, Goulden, Stewart, Bartholomew's, Veal, Foster, Crockmore in game 200, Josh Stern and Lewis Stevenson. For the Canberra Demons, it was Harper with 3 goals, 1 in each of the first 3 quarters, and singles to Pake, Swan, Smout, Powell, Fall, Carr, Pollock and Moline. Angus Baker, another outstanding game for him. I dare say the AFL clubs are keeping an eye again on Angus Baker. 24 disposals, 26 disposals for Bailey Stewart. He was the leading possession winner on the ground for Sydney Uni.
It's been a very, very tough day for the visiting side. A tough challenge for the Sydney Uni side, and they have come up trumps this afternoon. They've done absolutely everything they required. They managed just 1 goal in the first quarter, but thereafter that it was consistency across the course of the day. 4 goals, 4 goals and 4 goals in the second, third and fourth, and look at that. That is a nice sight to see there as Monty Crockmole, after his 200th game for the club, he came to them as a junior, and he's been through the Colts and worked his way up and played probably about half of his games at NEAFL level, and his 200th game for the Sydney University club today, and he comes off victorious with a pretty decent goal in there as well, and congratulations to him. Sydney Uni, well, they will be in a very, very happy place right about now, because that win will it'll keep them in 6th. That puts them a game clear of Canberra. Sydney have a game next week, Canberra don't, so it'll be a game plus percentage, and you'd imagine next week against the NT Thunder it'll be 2 games and a fairly healthy percentage boost with just 2 more to come after that. So it really is going to require something very special for Canberra to make it through to the finals. But Sydney Uni, in the meantime, they can continue on their merry way and start factoring in some finals footy.
Oh, absolutely. And as we say, they've added players there like Gilfetter. They've got a good squad assembled, and they could cause some problems for other teams in the finals. As we say, they caused that upset over, not Southport, but over Aspley last week. Canberra not dominated, but led most of the stats. They had 20 more disposals. They had 19 more tackles. The frees and the marks were just about even. Sydney Uni won the clearances, which is not unexpected, but the Demons had more inside 50s. The stat that matters is that Sydney Uni 13-10-88 have beaten the Canberra Demons 11-11-77. That's all from us here on NEAFL TV. Round 18 action here at Blacktown International Sportspark. On behalf of myself, Eddie Williams, Chris Coleman, and the team from Bar TV, thanks for joining us. We'll see you again on NEAFL TV very soon.